All right, it is Tuesday night in Tooney Town, and that can only mean one thing. It is time for the fastest rising pop culture, fastest rising pro wrestling podcast on the internet today. It is time for Tooney Talk Wrestling. Folks, my name is Marvin, and I am the movie monster, and I am thrilled to have all of you here with us again tonight. Feels like we just did this because we just did two straight big time, streams this weekend with WrestleMania, and my brain is still kind of ringing from it. My voice is certainly still feeling it, but my brain is also ringing from it. Mostly because it was the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, followed by a lot of really high highs at Monday Night Raw. We're going to talk about it all tonight, guys, but I can't do it alone. I need the people that make this show great, so let's bring them out. Kevin Apollo is here, ladies and gentlemen.
My brother. I was trying to think of something clever, but I'm still tired. I got nothing for you.
Yeah, I mean we did two 4-hour streams this past week. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of watching wrestling and talking about it, which I know does not sound like work, but it's not easy to fill 4 hours of time, especially when you're unenthused by what you're seeing on the screen, which I was for a lot of at least night one. Night two was the Mass Effect 3 of wrestling shows, because 98% of that show, I was like, I am all in on this. This is fantastic. And then the last 5 minutes just ruined it for everyone. But
so weird. I went back and rewatched it, so we can talk about it.
Absolutely. Oh, look, Dis is here. Hello, Dis.
Oh, hi. What? I just popped up, didn't I? Oh, you can't use my intro anymore. I forgot.
Well, it is literally demonetizing us every week. I have to make you a new one.
I understand. Hey, I'm here.
You are here. It's 5 seconds long, and they're like, or it's 8 seconds long, and they ding it every single week. Thanks, Dennis Leary.
I don't think Dennis Leary even cares.
You nicotine-soaked jackass. No, I actually like Dennis Leary.
Considering what Dennis Leary's up to now, he might actually really care, because he probably wants to get paid. So,
why is he not doing anything?
I mean, where was last time you thought of Dennis Leary besides that song every week when we play it?
Well, that's true. Good run there was that firefighter show that he did.
Yeah.
He probably made his money.
He's a tremendous actor. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
He's not working with Martin Scorsese like some actors, though.
He's like a funny Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, wow. It kind of is. Yeah, you're not wrong.
He's his funny brother. Also joining us this week, a man who also demonetizes the podcast every week with his theme song that I have to find a new one of, is Awful Wrestling.
Really?
Yeah, that one gets us sometimes. Not as often as this, but that one gets us.
Good.
Awful.
There he is.
I know you really don't like it. I know you really don't like it.
Yeah,
but
I hate
it. How you feeling?
I don't know who that Nigerian is. Oh man, still kind of.
Oh no, the video is staying.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna find a new song.
The Lilith Fair song is gonna go away. I don't know, what is that song? I never knew that song.
I don't know. All right. That's all I'm giving it of you.
Yeah, it's from Paul.
Yeah. Nah, I'm just kidding.
But I'm a little hungover from it. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
I just wanted to do the Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. Who's your daddy, Montreal? You know what? I wish we could watch that promo on here, because it is, I think, the single greatest heel promo that's ever been cut. When Sean Jealous was unleashed on Montreal. When they let heel Shawn Michaels just run roughshod on the people of the good people of Montreal, and make them think Bret Hart was coming out not once but twice. Oh my goodness. All right, so we got a lot to talk about today, but guys, this is a wrestling podcast that is made for you and financed by you, because as I said, we do get demonetized pretty much every week. So We rely on your generous super chats to keep us afloat. It keeps the lights on around here. So when you guys have something on your mind, just send in a super chat. We will read it aloud. We do break for super chats of $50 or more. So otherwise, we typically just take breaks in between the various news items that we do, throughout the night and do your super chats in like a big block. So let's get to what you guys have to say. We do have a few super chats that have filtered in the beginning, and we always love getting to them nice and early. Zach K for $9.99 says, good evening, Tooney Talk Wrestling community. Enjoyed watching Mania with you all. My hot take is that I actually enjoyed 41 more than 40 overall. Just please no more Travis Scott. Hot cock-a-doo-doo-doo, because it's a freak show. It's a freak zone. It's my favorite clip.
Black out the pain. Make your body grow.
I mean, I can't really remember anything about WrestleMania 40 other than Cody and other than Cody and Roman. I know there was Sammy wrestled. Was it Owens or was it? No, it was Gunther.
But it should have been Gable.
It should have been Gable.
Yeah,
Right.
should have been Gable.
Yeah.
That's all right. Gable had a WrestleMania match this year and Sammy didn't. So
Yeah.
It wasn't what you'd ever expect, Marv. You would never expect that match, apparently. I don't know what that means, but that's what I read earlier.
it's not what you'd expect because Vikingo was there and he's above this nonsense. We'll talk about that later.
I'm so sad we have to talk about this buffoon.
Sour grapes. He lives on an entire diet made of sour grapes. All right, what else have you guys got to say? Oh, Regina Sharp checking in for the first time tonight, saying this is a test of the emergency
Test.
system.
This is a test. Test.
This is only a test. If this had been a real, he would have won already. Now, he never wins. He schemes and then he loses horrifically. But thank you, Regina Sharp, for that $10 super chat. You and Cumia for $1.99. Is there a reason that The Rock didn't show? There's probably more than one, but we are going to go through them all tonight. We are going to talk about because The Rock did an interview with Pat McAfee. That's going to be our leadoff story tonight, you and Cumia. So hang on to your socks because we're going to get into that one momentarily. What were you going to say, this?
No, I was going to say we'll get to that, but yeah. Totally.
Chef Eddie for 5 says, with John Cena, we got the 5 moves of doom. With Jey Uso, we got 5 moves is all I can do. Cena was always capable of more than the 5. Brett was the 5 moves of doom, though, wasn't he?
Yes, but they started giving anybody who has a repetitive moveset gets labeled the moves of doom.
Which is ridiculous because
I was
going to say people are there for the 5 moves of doom. They're there to go, you can't see me. They're there for the rock bottom and the people's elbow, the stunner, the Thez press, the stomp a mud hole. Like that's what they're here for.
People pay for repetition.
Yep. The guys with the big movesets are never like Canyon. Canyon had one of the best movesets ever in the history of wrestling. And didn't get very far. So
Bang Boy George came out of a box, proved Jim Cornette wrong that everyone that comes out of a box gets over.
It was over with me when I watched it.
Boy, not with The Undertaker, though.
No, not with The Undertaker.
Zach K for $9.99. Oh, no, we read that one already. Oh, there it is. BT23 for $2. As if Rock was behind Mania, never, ever do that again.
Agreed.
CWJ 128 for $5. Went to SmackDown on WrestleMania Night 1 with 2 non-wrestling friends who both enjoyed the shows. Man, you have 2 non-wrestling friends who paid WrestleMania ticket prices? That is some dedication of being your friend, my friend.
Sorry, WrestleMania
the crowd,
sold that.
Yeah. The crowd live enjoyed both shows. Ticket prices day of were decent. Oh, okay. That's not bad to hear that. Redisaurus for $5 says there is a picture going around of
Just $1,000.
Yeah, right. A picture going around of the original plans for WrestleMania 41 written on a whiteboard. Considering how underwhelming WrestleMania 41 is, I think we got gypped. What were the plans better? I don't know.
They sounded, I mean, like they were very, very early. CM Punk was in like 3 matches. Like it was very early. They were just throwing ideas out there. Yeah, it wasn't.
Gosh. Maybe we'll hear about it in the new WWE Writers Room reality show.
That's
a
where it
bad
came from.
idea.
That's where it came
Oh.
from? Was that commercial? Yeah, they had they showed a whiteboard. So
Maybe we should wait on this. Maybe we'll wait.
What, the reality show?
No. I think the reality show is fine. I'm just baffled as to why everybody is so underwhelmed.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Mostly because it was a very underwhelming show. It's because people, the only thing that people come away remembering is the ending, and when you don't stick the landing, that's it. Dexter was wonderful for most of its run, and then that last season was just so abysmal that everyone hates Dexter now. It's that on a smaller scale.
I was telling somebody yesterday, if the 3-way would have been on night 2, it would have been a whole different story about what everyone thought about WrestleMania. If we would have gone home on that 3-way, everyone would be saying, well, the first night's main event wasn't good, but man, everything else delivered. Like that's the narrative we would be getting right now.
Well,
look at that first night.
Finish.
Yeah, the first night was not even the first night. Most of the show was just forgettable, not bad, but like not super memorable. But we left in a good mood because of that main event. It's the way things end. I've always said endings are the most important thing. If you do not stick the landing, you do not have a story.
Listen, night 1 wrapped up. Every match that was on night 1 wrapped up a story, with the exception of well, actually, technically, it did because it started a new story. The triple threat started a brand new story. So, night 2 was all the pomp and circumstance. I don't get it. There wasn't a bad match on the card, other than I do say they kind of nerfed the build up here, but it's also because it's a hard transition year. This WrestleMania was about everybody who's on that roster now making their spots and setting themselves up for the future. We've seen WrestleManias like before. So I what is everybody bitching?
On top of that, they also have this shoehorn of SummerSlam they have to think about now, because that they have to save some stuff for that because they want that to be just as big as WrestleMania. So it's a whole different booking. We have to get, it's a whole different mindset that they have to think about when they're booking these things now. And I think people were just, but like I said before too, I don't know what they were expecting. WrestleMania has never been built great. They've always built like 2 or 3 matches really good, and everything else was just kind of who is in a feud with who at the time. It wasn't like they were building it's not like they were building all year for, half the match for TLC. TLC was literally just, they came out and they said, let's put you guys in a TLC like 2 weeks before it happened. And that's how we got TLC. Everyone remembers it as one of the greatest matches of all time. Triple H versus Undertaker was done because Undertaker went up to Triple H and said, hey, you never beat me, kid. And then they had a match 2 weeks later. It wasn't a huge long build, but people remember the match. That's what
I believe he said. I believe he said, hey, you never beat me, you fat bitch. Because whenever Kevin and I would talk about the Undertaker and Triple H interacting, the Undertaker always called him a fat bitch. But yes, you're right. Again, it's the ending. If that match had been WrestleMania 40 was pretty forgettable, but that ending of WrestleMania 40 was so perfect that people love it. It's the one thing everyone likes to call WrestleMania 17 the greatest WrestleMania of all time. I can't, because of the way it ended with the Stone Cold heel turn, which up until now was, in my opinion, the worst ending to a WrestleMania ever. And that was changed by this.
Really? Does everybody keep forgetting about the Miz and Cena? And people not understanding what happened at the end of that match? Like, people walked away thinking The Rock was heavyweight champion. And he wasn't even in the match.
Or WrestleMania 9. Everyone talks about WrestleMania 9, but when they talk about bad endings, they never bring up WrestleMania 9. WrestleMania 9 was a terrible ending.
Well, I mean, look, the first time I saw WrestleMania 9, I was like, cool, Hulk Hogan's the champion.
Yeah, I was too. To be fair, I was too. And the other one is the one with Hogan Rock. That ended on Triple H Jericho. And everyone got on him about that.
Still a good match, though.
Everyone got on him about having that match. Everyone got on him about having. Well, it was also built around a dog. Let's not forget that. But
you see,
you murdered her.
But everyone,
murder of Lucy Hurst Helmsley.
Everyone was complaining about the 3-way being the main event for night one, which, by the way, which now I think they all look silly for complaining that was the main event. And they also, I think Triple H.
Could you imagine?
If
they opened with the 3-way and they closed with Jay and Gunther? I mean, come on.
The finish for Jay and Gunther probably would have been different. I think it still would have ended in a sleeper because that was an important note to hit. But again, in my rewatching the main event, there's some very important commentary cues that kind of let you know where they may be going with this, on top of all the drama and circumstance of The Rock's appearance on McAfee. Stop! I don't want you over here. Go away. So it's I think people also and this constant whining about the match being basic. Not every match can be 4,000 nukes going off, and they shouldn't be.
I had no problem with the way the match was. I had no problem with the way the match was. I even said while we were watching it, I said, I think this match is going really, really well. I thought that I liked the way Cena was working as a heel. I liked the more slow, methodical approach. I very much enjoyed it. It was just that ending. It was just Travis Scott with the longest. There have been some indulgent WrestleMania entrances in previous years. Travis Scott took the cake. I mean, it took that man like 4 minutes to saunter his way to the ring and then fearlessly step up to the WWE champion, which just utterly ridiculous. Like, come on, man, you're $120, like soaking wet with a brick in each pocket. Can you at least act like you're in some kind of peril?
Yeah, there were a few things too, though. Like the tug of war with the title belt was silly. I mean, it was just it felt very
and the Cody
out of place.
The Cody Rhodes like I'm gonna hit him with the belt. Oh, I can't because I'm a good man. Like,
hold on, actually, we might as well just talk about this now. Actually, because we have no choice but to talk about it. Well, half of every wrestling show on the on the planet opened up with it. But I thought Greco was going to need to be hospitalized. His
screaming, yes.
Oh my
that
God.
was a little much.
Oh my God, bro, relax.
That was a little much, and he gives AEW a pass on everything. But
he's pretty hard on AEW usually too.
Yeah.
So.
As long as no one yells at him in the on Twitter.
Yeah,
he's hard on them. So again, I saw a lot of complaints about the pacing of the match, and I'm like, understand the story that's being told. John Cena, whether you want to accept it or not, is the greatest champion of all time. He is not someone who's ever been fired. He retired on his own accord. He retired on top. No one has outdrawn him. No one has outmerched him. They probably never will.
Except for everyone that came in front of him.
Yes. Say that again?
Except for Stone Cold Steve Austin and Hulk Hogan.
No,
who outdrew him by leaps and bounds.
No. They don't have his longevity. Let's think about how long Hulkamania.
No, they don't have his longevity, but let's not forget when Stone Cold Steve Austin came in right after John Cena won the title the first time. He was like, "How's everything going, kid?" Yeah, and John goes,
we're talking
John's
20 years.
Yeah, can you let me finish the sentence? when he's like, never mind, just keep going. I'll do some work.
We're talking 20 years.
I'll come in. My turn. No, go ahead.
He's retired. He is retired on top. He left not because someone told him to leave. That's never happened before anywhere. Bruno didn't get to do it. Flair didn't get to do it. Hogan, Austin didn't get to do it. We see it as the only one. Period. End all. Cody is not going. I think people are also shocked that the babyface got bodied from bell to bell. The only real shine that Cody got was for his Hope spot, and that was really came at the expense of Travis Scott. I know people are bitching about Cody not really getting his receipt. We got to be realistic here. I'm willing to bet my house Travis Scott was too much of a punk bitch to take the hard slap to the face. So instead, he ate across.
I'm gonna push back on that. I think they want Cody versus Travis Scott at SummerSlam.
No.
No. You know how much training that would take? You know how much training that would take? I don't think he's there for that. I mean, he wants
how much training did it take for Bad Bunny?
But Bad Bunny was actually good.
Yeah, Bad Bunny was athletic.
Yeah, Bad Bunny had a ring built in Puerto Rico and had been training.
It takes Travis Scott 20 minutes to get to the ring.
Yeah,
so
that's not a lack of athleticism. That's a lack of that's being indulgent.
Well, he was higher than a kite. He was probably seeing unicorns and fairies.
Also true.
There were things about the match that I don't know. It felt felt off, right? Like there were things about it that just didn't feel like Cody not using the belt after Cody used a chair against Kevin Owens. After like every time Cody gets the opportunity to use a weapon and he tends to do it. Like Cody's that kind of face, right? And
after a little bit of struggle, because he always does the shouldn't I think.
Right.
Well, let me tell you my problem with that was 2 matches earlier with AJ and Logan Paul, the same thing happened.
Yeah.
AJ was like, should I do it? Should I cheat? Oh no, I'm not gonna. And then he lost.
Well, they did the same finish in the women's 3-way that they did with the Intercontinental title too. With him coming off the top rope and doing the splash. So,
I did notice that.
Yeah, they use they weren't afraid to use the finish twice. But
what do you want? 14 matches in 2 nights. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, we haven't seen a face get bodied before. Why did Cody get bodied? Because John Cena is one of the greatest champions of all time. And you should not be bumping John Cena around all over the place because of his status. This is someone who's beaten The Rock. It's Cena's. It's essentially it's like what it's like Superboy fighting Superman. It ain't gonna happen.
And the last time we saw a major babyface get bodied like that was John Cena against Brock.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel that they need to do some work on Cody now, because coming out of that show, when you look at the fact that it took the Avengers to assemble to beat Roman last year, and then it took Cody, the only obstacle Cody had to go through was Travis Scott. Like, it brings him down a peg, and people have that in their head. People still remember exactly what happened last year. That's why they were expecting run-ins. That's why because WWE has trained them to expect that at this point. So I don't blame people for wanting
that's their fault, though, because if you don't, now you didn't get it and you're boo-boo facing, you're boo-boo job facing because you didn't get what you wanted. Not every story is going to have massive run-ins.
I agree. I'm not saying that I needed run-ins, but it just didn't live up to last year, right? It didn't live up to the feeling of last year. And I think a lot of people wanted that. It didn't last
year, 3 years of build.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, last year was the end of a major story. This year, I think, was the beginning of one, because the John Cena is leaving with the belt is going to be the story for the rest of this year.
So, okay. I think they really, really didn't do a good. That main event did not feel like the rest of the show. That main event didn't feel like it fit into what WWE does now. That it didn't feel like it felt like WWE 10 years ago. It didn't feel like current WWE. It felt like somebody was coming in, like, while it was happening. I'm like, this really feels like it was planned by the same guy who planned the Rock promo. Like that's what it feels like, that voice. And it just kind of hit me halfway through. It's not, and it wasn't because of John Cena. John Cena and Cody Rhodes did great. They had a good match, but it just didn't fit in with the feel of it. They shouldn't have ended the show on it. I don't mind it happening, but it just feels weird to end the show.
I don't think Cody came out of that match looking great, obviously. I don't think Cena came out of that match looking incredibly great. I mean, he looked great the next night, but I think the only person that got put over in that finish was Travis Scott. That's the only person.
Travis Scott took one of the best crossroads I've ever seen, and that includes from wrestlers.
Mm-hmm. He took it better than Cena took the Cody Cutter. 3 times Cena took it that night. Cena couldn't figure out where to be during those Cody Cutter spots.
So I think the match Russell won. We got to remember, Cena has ring rust, right? He has ring rust, and he's knocking on Fitty. So it took his body a little bit of time to warm up. You could see, like, once those joints got lubricated, then he started moving around. He started moving around and bumping more. The when we get to the belt shot, nobody noticed it because we were too busy watching it. But Michael Cole goes, Cody, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna be the good guy or are you gonna be the bad guy? And I don't think I've ever heard a commentator put it that way that clearly. And yes, we all know wrestling is built off of good guy versus bad guy. But I don't think the WWE's ever flat out stated, if you do this, you're the bad guy. But if you do this, you're the good guy. Where I think we're going to want to go with this is, at the end of the day, Cody didn't win because Cody didn't have the stones to do what needed to be done. So, and I guess if you also look at his fandom, right, we know that Jedi have the opportunity to kill, and they don't. They choose a different path. What I think this leaves the door open is Cody came out of there looking a little weak. And again, so I'll back up a little bit so you guys can speak, but Cody came out looking a little weak. I think that may have been a little bit by design, because now Cody will have to explain a crisis of faith. I tried to do it the right way, and I got nothing for it. I got nothing out of it. So what does being a good guy really mean, right? Because now you get to ramp up the battle for Cody's soul portion of the story. And he's gonna have to decide what he wants to do. The other part of it is, hey guys, this is the reality of having to book a babyface. It's extremely difficult. It's not all smiles and go win big. It's any little thing that you do can make a babyface look like a fool. It takes a special mix of that person's charisma, the opportunity, his dance partners, and everything just landing right in the middle of the bullseye. And if you're a little bit outside, it can be disastrous.
And I think another part of it too is that while John Cena was the best of his era, and I really do believe that, I believe that John Cena in his time is the most consistent performer. That was a different era, and you're bringing him into this era where he's not only is he older and not that wrestler anymore, but even people from that era aren't as good as the people that we're watching now. And when you have that situation, you have to wrestle a little different. So I didn't really mind the actual match itself, but I do think that there is a lot of talk I've seen of the whole, like, just sit back. If you feel exactly the way you're supposed to feel. If you didn't like it, it's because WWE didn't want you to like it. And it's like, no, I don't think WWE wanted me to be upset that Travis Scott took 20 minutes to get to the ring. I don't think WWE wanted me to feel there. You could not like something because you don't like it. It doesn't have to be because you're being controlled like a puppet by Triple H and The Rock,
and I can't stand the idea that, like, well, it was supposed to be bad because John Cena wants to take everything from you. I'm like, no, that excuse was lame when the Young Bucks and John Moxley make it to put over their bad matches. I'm not accepting that from WWE either. Like, I'm sorry, that's not, it's the difference between us and them, is we can admit when something didn't hit for us. And it's perfectly fine for something not to hit, because here's the thing. You know what did hit? Raw the next night. Boy, did it ever.
Raw was fantastic.
Hey, how great was it? I guess we'll start with this. How great was it to see Rusev and see him look like a man again and have him, like, be a dominant force? Like, he wasn't wearing pajama pants and a pink Mickey Mouse shirt. He wasn't talking about video games. He just beat up a fat man.
Billy Mitchell was nowhere to be seen. They didn't have an arcade cabinet out there. Correct. Yeah. So, and Rusev looked great. The whole show, top to bottom, best post Raw WrestleMania in at least 2 or 3 years. It's usually, I've noticed that they, like, after, it seemed to get in this pattern where it's like they do one big thing at the beginning of the show, and then there'd be an introduction in the middle of the show, and then everything else is just a regular show. This felt like old school Raw after WrestleMania. This is a new start. This is the new direction. Here's all the new people that are going to be important. And I really, really enjoyed, especially that ending, man. Oh my gosh, that ending.
Was that the Cena Randy?
No.
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it in order. I watched everything
Paul Heyman
through YouTube. Oh, the Paul Heyman thing was the end.
Yeah.
By the way, like just one of my least favorite things in the world. I saw today, like somebody was one of the worst AEW accounts out there was like, oh, this is just a ripoff of the Callis family. I'm like, no, it's the Dangerous Alliance.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. You mean the Callis family is a ripoff of the Heenan family?
Right. Is that what they called? Do they call them the Callis family? I don't even know. I might have just made that part up. But he said it was like through like the Paul Heyman guys are just a ripoff of the Don Callis. And I'm like, first of all, they better not be calling them the Paul Heyman guys.
I doubt
No, they're not going to call them that.
Like I don't think they're going to call them the Dangerous Alliance. I would love if they called them the Dangerous Alliance, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, I don't know if it needs to be. Okay, if it stays just them, then it can just be, Seth Rollins with his heater, who is Braun Breaker, who, I mean, you don't need a title for 3 people. If they do want to add more people, the most I would do is maybe add like Omos or something, someone who can take the bumps so you don't have to make Braun be the bumper for Seth, because I really do think that everything is kind of it's in service of Braun Breaker now. That's in my mind. Like everything led to that moment, and now Braun Breaker is on his path. This Heyman's like, even after Seth and Heyman are done, I think Heyman's going to stay with Braun Breaker. That's the Paul Heyman guy. That's the one this is all meant to put over. It was a symphony the way it came together there at the end, where you're like, oh, everything they did led to getting Braun Breaker to the next level. Even if that wasn't the intention in the first place, it's still going to. And that's beautiful, man. When you see stuff like that, the same thing, I mean, say what you want, but Io Sky is a way bigger star now than she was before WrestleMania. Dom is a bigger star now than he was before WrestleMania. The things that are happening at Mania are actually getting these people over and getting them to places, you see what, and then last night, you get to see where they're going and the direction they're going. And Dom's going to be a face before the end of the year. I know it's not happening right away because they're going to do the Finn Dom thing, and Finn's probably going to be the face. But at some point, he's going to be tearing it up. Everything is so good. But the Braun Breaker thing.
Finn Dom. I'm going to get my credit card out. Please, can that please be the name of them if they stay together? Can we just call them Finn Dom? And they try to charge everybody for everything.
Hi, Awful. How are you doing?
He's doing great. How about you guys? I've been I've been observant. I've been listening to the entire argument about how the crowd should not be upset that this is the way to go with the John Cena storyline. But I think everybody has every right to complain, and I think Marv and he touched on it. Essentially, it wasn't so much the entire match. It was actually 2 or 3 small things that make the entire match just that much more shittier. It's like having a great steak, and at the very last taste, you have this taste of toilet. And it's just like, oh man, that kind of ruins the experience. The fact that Trav took too much time down to the ring.
Yeah, oh, man, don't you?
Yeah,
those toilet steaks.
But the fact that it took Travis Scott forever, the tug of war looked absolutely terrible for 2 professionals to look like that, and to sit there for that amount of time just to look at each other before they executed their next spot. That's where it ruined it for people, and I think people have a valid complaint in that. They invested more than money. They invested time. It was a 6-week build. And I loved, of anything, I loved how John Cena stripped away his entire colors. It was just a black and white, simple font. That's what we needed. That's what we needed to see. But the big question here, gentlemen, is where does Cody Rhodes go from here? How does the crowd see him now? I mean, we've heard Kev's thoughts on the storyline, but let's talk about somebody who's like, explain it to me like I'm 5. Cody looks like a jackass right now.
I agree. No, I totally agree with you. And I think the crowd didn't help. And I'm not going to blame, like, I think there's a little bit to be said, like, okay, when these guys do these promos in the ring, Cena always was starting to get cheers during the promos, and then he'd get the crowd to turn on him at some point. But he didn't pull that off while he was wrestling, and I don't think it was him. I think it was that Vegas crowd. I think it was, as Kev was talking about, the pricing, I think kind of screwed it up. We didn't get the normal WWE crowd. We got a bunch of rich nerds in the crowd. That's who we got. So it was always going to kind of go the route of Cody getting booed and Cena getting cheered. And Cena kind of tried a little bit in there, but there's not much you can do with that kind of crowd. This isn't going to be one that Cena can just flip a switch. The Rock, that's what I don't like about when The Rock says, I can just flip that switch and go from heel to face. If I want to be a heel, I can snap my fingers and the crowd will hate me. And it's like, yeah, that works until the bell rings. And then once the bell rings and you take the mics away and you're just standing in the ring with each other, you have to really work like a heel. And Cena kind of did. I mean, he did a few things where he kind of taunted the crowd and stuff, but I don't know. It just wasn't and I'm not blaming Cena. I don't want to come off like I'm blaming Cena because I don't think I think he did it about as good as you can do in that situation. I just think that maybe as a whole, it just wasn't planned out well, the whole situation or what to do afterwards. Now, you're asking about what to do with Cody? Go away. Cody has to go away at this point.
He's not going to.
He's got go away heat now.
No,
I'm saying
Cody has to dig himself out of a hole.
Yeah,
well, learn another hold.
See, I'm thinking it's a matter of absence makes the heart grow fonder. I'd say give him a couple months off. Because you don't want
how can I miss you if you don't go away? As Quinn likes to say.
Yeah, you can't because right now you could get stuck in the situation of the Pavlov's dog. Yes, Pavlov's dog situation where the regular crowds don't want to boost Cody, but they just saw 60,000 people boo Cody. And they saw it on SmackDown. And when they mentioned Cody's name on Raw, they booed him. And now it's like, well, maybe that's just what we're supposed to do. Maybe we're just supposed to boo him. Because that's kind of how WWE crowds are now, is they just kind of follow along. But I think if you break it up, if you send Cody away for a couple months, have him come back as the hero, all will be forgiven. It won't be a big deal anymore.
Anyway. I disagree with that a little bit. The crowds, the families like who they like. At the end of the day, the Cena argument is the embodiment of that. If people listened to the WWE crowd, John Cena would have turned heel 20 years ago. He would have been Hollywood Cena forever. I think people are aware that certain towns are going to give you certain reactions and certain people are going to behave certain ways, which is why the WWE just does what it does. They just ignore it. And you will they'll either eventually drop it or they'll break your will. But I do think Cody, it's obviously the backlash is Cena Orton, right? So Cody probably is going to go away, but I think you got to find a way to you got to put a little bit of shine back on Cody. Cody has to not necessarily come up against Cena, but Cody's still on the hero's journey. He came up against a beloved mentor, an idol. And he just couldn't get it done because he didn't have the skill set. So, I don't know who the equivalent of his Apollo is, but Cody needs to go away and learn something from someone else in order to take another stab at Cena again, which I think will probably
learn how to do a tug of war a little bit better.
Well, I don't know.
There shouldn't be tug of war.
Wrestling are always dog shit.
Yeah, there should never be a tug of war in wrestling ever, unless it's a rope and there's 5 men on each side. There should never be a tug of war in AWA. There should never be a tug of war in wrestling.
The only time a tug of war spot worked is when Michelle McCool and Layla broke the belt.
Yeah.
That works.
I don't know. I do think it could help Cody to take some time off. I wish they would have sold the idea that he didn't hit him because he was Cena. That I think would have changed a lot. If they could have sold the idea that it's like, okay, he hit Kevin Owens, but he respects Cena, and he's not going to do it, because it's Cena.
I'm sorry.
No, I was done.
No. I think that's what we were supposed to get. I just don't think they gave it enough time. To really drive it home. And again, listen, I know how to fix this match, and we can still do all the same bullshit. It was just a matter of it was out of sequence. They made a massive mistake not playing The Rock's music. When you can do the dumb
We know
tug
why
of-
now, don't we?
Yeah, true. Listen, you can do the dumb tug of war spot, and you can have and Cody gets it, and Cody can be pondering if he wants to hit him and realize he doesn't want to hit his idol, someone he worshipped, and then you hit the Rock's music, but it's not the Rock, it's Travis Scott, and then
that would have gone badly.
but again, it doesn't matter. At this point, it's about getting the heat, right? Because you let the Rock's music play, and what happens when the final boss shows up? It's like a cloud comes over the arena, right? So now he starts bringing him down, and then you send in Travis Scott from the other side of the ring. And then he spins Cody around. Cody hits him in the crossroads because little bitch boy's not going to take the shot. Once Travis is gone, so Cody forgot about the belt. Cena kicks him in the nuts.
Yeah.
Cena blasts him with the belt. You go home.
Okay, here's my problem with that, and it really means more if after you listen to the Rock interview from today. But I think that they need to stop making it like the idea that the Rock is hanging over this whole thing, I think is a big part of why that it didn't hit as much as it could have. If Cena had just turned without the Rock, and if they would have had that match without the Rock, and they would have done every single thing, but you weren't constantly thinking about the Rock, it would have come off at least 50% better. The problem is that everything involving Cody and Cena has Rock in the background of it. And if he's not there, it feels like, well, this wasn't important enough for him to show up. This wasn't a big enough event. This isn't, so you immediately take like 5 steps back because the Rock isn't there. This is so when you have, it'd be like, okay, imagine if Hulk Hogan turned and joined the NWO, and then Kevin Nash and Scott Hall went away for 6 months. I mean, it just doesn't work. You can't have it. You need them all. Absolutely. And when you built this entire storyline around The Rock, and then you make it Cena, it actually makes Cena feel less important. But you want Cena to feel like the most important person in the world, and he just doesn't. So the idea that he beat Cody, who, by the way, Cody had a very competitive time with The Rock last year, beat them in a tag team match. That guy, it's like when you have him beat Cody, it makes Cody look even worse because it's like Cody didn't even beat the stage boss. How is he going to beat the final boss? And that's my problem. It's more.
Yeah, but say Rock did beat Cody last year, didn't he?
In the tag match?
Yeah.
That's why it was Bloodline Rules.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Okay, you're right. I apologize for that. I had flipped up in my head. Okay, yeah, but
your argument is now invalidated.
It still works because if he did, like I said, if he couldn't beat the mini boss, how's he going to beat the final boss? Right? Like if he can't, that's why you don't need The Rock involved in this at all. Cena should have turned. It should have just been that. And then they do this and everything. Like I said, people might have been let down, but they wouldn't be angry. A lot of people were angry.
Well, by what The Rock said. Yeah, but what The Rock said is the ticket sales were a little slumpy, so he had to insert himself one way or the other.
Right.
And you know this, and I know this, and Triple H probably knows this, but you know who doesn't agree with you? The Rock.
Yeah. I know, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters right now.
Yep.
Well, it's true though. It was insanity to not have. Listen, WrestleMania, right, is the biggest match of the year. That means that it's the highest stakes, and we're doing this for the WWE title. I get if you tie the heel turn to The Rock, it gives you a little more wiggle room to get Cena out of to get Cena redeemed a little bit faster. But if The Rock's not going to be there, and you knew The Rock wasn't going to be there, you shouldn't have done this because it is that cloud hanging over everything. The only thing this match really succeeded in was for the first time since I've been a child. When I was watching the 3 count happen, in my head I said Cody kick out, and he didn't kick out.
Yeah, well, and there's some things too, like Max. Every time we watch a pay-per-view together, Max is always like, "Can I stay up late and watch the post show? Can I do that?" He didn't care at all about the post show this time.
It's deflated.
He's deflated. It deflates people, and they did it. I'm glad they did what they did on Raw, because they did good enough on Raw to get that out of the way. No one is deflated anymore. All these people who are like, I'm never watching WWE again, they're fine now. They watched Raw and it was fantastic and everything's going to be okay. But it is just for that one night. I don't think WrestleMania has the cachet it used to in terms of being the thing that represents the year anymore. Like, back in the day, it used to be like you watched when you went back and watched old shows, you would just watch WrestleMania, maybe Royal Rumble. You wouldn't need to watch all the Raws and SmackDowns and everything. And I think that time is gone, considering that everyone has everything for free in front of them by subscribing to Peacock. So we don't have to worry about the idea that WrestleMania is the end all be all of what people will remember anymore. A lot of people don't even remember what happened at last year's WrestleMania. I didn't earlier. So it's, I can tell you every result of every match from WrestleMania 1 to WrestleMania 10. Past WrestleMania 10, I have no idea. And that's when it started not becoming as, I'm not saying it's not important, but I just mean it's not the representative of the year that it used to be.
You know, if you're going to tell this story now where it's going to be John Cena has got the belt and he's going to leave with it, logic would say that Cody will be the one to ultimately take it back from him. However, I would say you have an opportunity here to do the inverse of the John Cena CM Punk feud from years ago when CM Punk tried to leave with the title.
SummerSlam.
You think that's SummerSlam? You don't think they saved that?
No, that's SummerSlam.
I don't know. I don't think that this Paul Heyman thing is going to be done by SummerSlam.
Unless you're gonna have Cody win the Rumble again. And you let Punk be the one to get the belt off of Cena. I don't know.
Unless you do Cody and Cena at SummerSlam, and then you save Punk and Cena for WrestleMania.
You know what? I got convinced after.
Well, Cena won't be at Mania.
Yeah, Cena's not at WrestleMania, Mark.
Right, or you do it at whatever.
Well, I got convinced now because you guys have been telling me this for a while, and I was like, no, it's not. I think John Cena might just retire as a heel. Like this might just be what we get for John Cena until the end, or at least until right before his last match. And I think that his last match might as well be with Cody. Like if you send Cody out, retiring Cena and taking the title, that is making Cody. And I still have to hold on to the hope that this whole thing is just to
Cody's still got to be made though.
He does.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
He has. John Cena did not pass the torch to him last night or on Sunday.
Only main eventers can make main eventers, and you're not certified until a legend does it. It's why Taker put over Roman. You know, it's you can go back. You can go back and see where it happens. It's why Cena eventually had to go over Rock. You have to build the pomp and circumstance. We've seen what happens when you don't do it right, and it was called anytime Ric Flair passed the torch to someone, and in his left hand he had a giant keg of water that he dumped on said torch as he was passing it to the next person. So this story is very clearly going to come down to Cena Cody too. It's just a matter of what we do with Cody, because you tore him down. Now you have to build him back up.
Yeah. So Rock appeared on, before we get into that, I gotta get some super chats because they've been building up. Let's see. Oh, John Williams for 499 says, "What an amazing acknowledgement of the wrestling business and the induction of me." Yes, WrestleMania Night 1 was all about Triple H. Dial C4 for $2 says, "This gets the jobber entrance." Oh, because he didn't get your theme music.
Right.
Currently in the ring, AEW Disciplinary Committee.
Other exciting hosts.
Yes. I had a great match on Saturday. Don't forget about that.
You did. Anthony J for $5 says, "What do you think of Corinne's new wrestling name, Spitball?" I'm sorry, Corny's new wrestling name, Spitball Mike Bailey, the Dime Store Steamboat. That's actually really good. I hadn't heard that one yet.
Our friend Mole actually confirmed that it is a Karate Kid gimmick, by the way.
Good Lord.
So
he does nothing even remotely like Daniel LaRusso.
No, but he wears a headband, Marv. He has a mullet. So 80s,
That you should have paired him with some Mr. Fuji looking guy who's his sensei then. Like
that would have been good. I would have enjoyed that.
Actually, I always likened him to the main character of the Kung Fu game for Nintendo.
Who's Spitball? Mike Bailey?
Yeah.
Or
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, he totally looks like generic. Like, if you go back and play Wrestling Challenge, there was a character called You, and that's what Spitball Mike Bailey looks like. I'm gonna call him Spitball Mike Bailey now because Courtney did, but that's what he looks like. He's generic character number one in every fighting
Yeah,
game.
I get that. John Williams for $2 says, "Stop hurting Sammy's feelings." Well, Sammy was on Raw. Are we building to a Sammy heel turn here? You think?
Yeah,
to be first opponent.
Yep. I
might as well.
So.
There's nothing else to do with him at this point.
He's a fun heel, so let him do it.
Yep.
Jay can beat him, and no one will care. That's the good thing. Like, no, you won't have to hear for weeks on the internet. I can't believe Jay killed Sammy. Like, who? No,
you bastard.
Jay should beat Sammy.
John Williams 199 says Cena. It was supposed to be ironic. I don't know. It's
probably makes sense context, yeah. But
CWJ 128 for $2 is SmackDown. $164 for the 13th row. WrestleMania Night 1 $300 for WrestleMania Night 1 $300 level 5 row. Or 300 level 5th row $331. That's not bad. That's not terrible.
Look, back at WrestleMania 32, I paid like $175 for nosebleeds. So it's not.
Yeah.
When you look at inflation and stuff, it's really not that crazy. 331.
How crazy are the Backlash prices though?
$125 for upper level towards the front. Like the front of the upper level is what I pay. And that's with fees. That's with fees and taxes.
I just picture you and Max and like angels in the outfield, like in a tree outside the arena with the binoculars. The security guard's like, "You better have tickets for that tree."
The one time I went to a Raw. When Backlash was in Kansas City, the Hogan versus Undertaker. When Hogan lost the title to Undertaker, I was seated directly behind a pole. Like, it was literally right in front of me because I waited till day of to buy tickets. And
they even sell that seat.
I don't, because everything else was sold out. So like, sure, we'll say it costs like $75 or something like that. It wasn't nosebleed either. It was not lower level, but kind of the middle level there. And right directly behind a pole.
I went to a Raw one time with a buddy of mine, and we were seated literally like behind the Titantron. And he was so pissed. He like raised hell until we got new seats. Regina Sharp for 5 said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I missed. Oh no, I didn't miss that." Regina Sharp for 5 says Game of Thrones is a good example of not getting the landing. Epic show, then a wet fart of a last season. Yeah. Well, what happened with that was you ran out of source material written by the author, and then the creative team showed you who they were, i.e. the guys that wrote X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Oh shit.
They were. That's the creative team that sewed Deadpool's mouth shut. They made the claws CGI. Forever Runner for 4. Oh my god, they really did look like the singing swords from Roger Rabbit. Forever Runner for $4.99 says went to Stand and Deliver, and both nights of Mania had an amazing time connecting with other wrestling fans and getting caught up in the spectacle. That's awesome, Forever Runner. Better you than me. Sounds like my darkest hell. That could, like, every time we drive by Camping World Stadium, which was the Orange Bowl where they had 2 WrestleManias, I look at it and I say to my wife, I could have never done that. I could have never been there during that. Like, it sounds like the darkest hell I could possibly imagine. And like I said, during the event, my only thought the entire time would be like, it's going to be a nightmare to get out of here.
Nah.
You know what? That's
what
genetic.
A curmudgeon you
That's
are.
genetic. No, that's genetic. My dad was like that. Like, my dad, if we would go to a concert or a baseball game or whatever, he would have it down to the minute of when we had to leave to scoot out before all of the traffic. Like he came in with a battle plan. So that's the Montanaro family genes right there. But
I tend to get anxious thinking about going to shows, and then when I get to shows, I tend to. Once you get there, it's all good. You find some people around you that like making fun of AEW. You get a nice drink and TNA. I'm just talking about TNA right now.
I am also very like reserved at things like this. Like I know I'm very outgoing on the air and stuff like that, but like in real life, like I'm like really shy and quiet in a lot of ways. And in public, like so like if I go to if somebody like wants to bring me to like a sports event or a concert, I always say like, listen, you're gonna see me just sitting there quietly. I don't want you to think that means I'm not having fun. It's just that is how I consume live events. And then of course they ultimately are like, "Hey, are you okay, man? Are you okay? Do you want to leave?" Like I'm like, "No, we talked about this." But
Why'd you wake me up?
yeah. Butter Biscuit 92. Hey, Butter Biscuit 92. Good to have you here, man. For $5 says I'm pretty new to wrestling and had a lot of fun with it, but I think we can all agree that Jey Uso sucks.
No.
Great song, but Yeet is so dumb. Yes, we can agree on
No,
that.
we
Butter
can't
Biscuit.
all
No, we
agree
can't.
on it. No, we can't. Jey
Awful and I
Uso,
agree.
Jey Uso was great. Awful doesn't
Awful.
think he sucks. Awful, do you think Jey
Awful.
Uso sucks?
No, I just think
Yeah.
no.
God damn
I've
it.
qualified this many times. Like I'm too old for the room for the Jey Uso fan. That's all. That's how I just chalk it up. Like I can't hate on the guy. Apparently, he's selling a lot of merch. A lot of kids like him. I just see him as another guy on the roster. I don't really have any particular feeling for him because I'm not 13 years old.
Look at it like this. Cena got booed by that crowd. Jey Uso had every bit of energy he's had all from the build to WrestleMania on Saturday afternoon or evening when they started. He
And
didn't lose one bit of that energy going in from the crowd. So
And
if you want to talk about, go ahead.
Also, you can't blame it on Yeet because he hasn't been saying it.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So the man is over. Deal with it. He ain't going anywhere. And he cut a good promo last night too.
I feel like they
Brett-
forgot that Jimmy existed.
Yes,
Dude,
I felt like Jimmy like kind of like appeared in the ring at the end there.
Yeah,
Like,
but it was
I was
such
like,
a
wait, where
good
did he
moment.
come from?
It was such a good moment seeing that like when you saw there was a moment where if you go back and watch, you can see Jay switch from performer to just a kid, like being in there with his brother. Like his face changes, his demeanor changes, and he almost starts crying immediately when he went to hug Jimmy. It was such a moment. I loved that part. I loved it. And I know Marv, you say you can't cry in wrestling, but I don't think he could control it. I think
there's a caveat to that. It's if somebody dies or you win your first world title,
and he won his first world title. Okay, there you go.
Yes, so no, he's allowed to cry. He has my permission to cry. Ric Flair had my permission to cry when he retired, and he abused that privilege. But because my God, every time Ric Flair walked into any building for the 3 months leading up to WrestleMania, he was just bursting into tears. I don't know why I'm crying. I'm just gonna come back in 4 months anyway.
He was drunk. That's why he was crying.
Brett Smith for $10 says, did both nights. There was not a bad seat in that stadium. The AC is amazing there as well. The pyro could be felt for 5 seconds, then gone. Just like Cody's heat after that match. Hey-oh! I liked that. That was good.
Did anybody hear the CM Punk thing? He did an interview where he was talking about pyro and how he got so mad at Kevin Dunn for giving him pyro at WrestleMania. I loved, he had the best quote, and it was just, pyro is a crutch. I don't know why.
That sounds like angry, bitter CM Punk of the past. Yes.
I love that quote though. Pyro is a crutch. It sounds like, I mean, he was laughing about it when he said it because he was talking about old days, but it was a good quote.
Get ready for CM Punk to be the next Bret Hart when he gets older.
He's already. He said when him and FTR were doing the Sons of the Hitman thing, I was like, no, that works. It works because they're all good in the ring and they all spend all their time bitching and moaning.
No, Punk has not been doing that since he got.
But I'm talking about back when he was doing that.
Okay.
Regina Sharp for $5 says, honestly, I predict that eventually the wrestling community will remember the great matches, but somehow not associate them with this WrestleMania. That's possible. I mean, I think that women's title match is going to go down in history as one of the greatest women's title matches of all time.
Best 3-way I've ever seen, male or female, in my opinion. Honestly,
it was the
really
one match
this
that I'm
really.
It was the one match that I made sure.
Well, okay. Maybe some mixed gender 3-ways at some point, but no,
not on VHS or early DVDs.
Through scrambly lines, you know.
Yeah. All right, sorry, good.
Regina Sharp for $5. Honestly, I predicted eventually the wrestling community. Oh, I read that one already. Sorry. Dr. 64 for $5. This crowd ruined the main event for me. People spent a decade wanting Cena to turn heel, only to not play along. Have respect and boo him. That, you know what? That's kind of true. They waited for all this time for this man to be a heel, and when he finally turns heel, they refuse to boo him. I'm like, that is some nerve.
That brings up okay, Kev, you're a wrestler. When you're a heel, you don't want to get that kind of reaction. You want to be booed. If you get that kind of reaction, it feels like you're not doing your job. And Cena's not on that level. I mean, Cena's on a different level, so he's gonna get cheers regardless. He can't help it. But I've heard wrestlers talk about before that it's like I went out there as a heel and they were cheering me, and I wasn't doing, that kind of thing. They don't like it a lot. If they're a good wrestler, they don't like it. The ones that just want to get themselves over and stuff might, but the ones that are serious, am I incorrect on that, or what would you say?
No. The problem is that too many heels do want to be cheered.
Yeah.
And they don't do their job, but the heels who actually get it and understand it, they don't want to. But you also got to understand too, like you kind of know what crowd you're dealing with. You know what I mean? Like everybody, like it's hard for certain crowds. Like when I think they knew they were going to be in trouble when they were overseas, right? Because a lot of overseas people come to Mania, and they were in a spot where these tickets are so damn expensive that you were getting the nerdy tech nerds who kind of just do what they want to do and be like weird, smart marky about it. So I think they were kind of prepared for that. But you're right though. Any good heel doesn't really want to be cheered, but you also understand sometimes there's isn't shit you can do about it. So you get your heat in where you can, and the good ones know how to do it. I thought Cena did a pretty good job. I actually was entertained with Cena kind of playing along at one point, where like he started looking back and forth during the "Let's go Cena sucks" chants.
Yeah, you know what I wanted him to do is I wanted him to just put Cody in a headlock and keep him down for like 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like go that. Remember Randy Orton did that? Yeah. Where he decided he was going to get heat, and he was going to do it by like doing headlocks and leg scissors and stuff like that. Like that's kind of what I wanted to see, at least for the beginning of the match. I would have liked to see that from John
Cena. I forgot what I was going to say. It was good too, but I don't know when you're holding on to your comment for 10 minutes.
Right.
All right. Let's move. Let's get a couple more super chats and then we'll move along. Dial C4 for $5 says maybe they should have rehired the pyro guy that lit the Undertaker on fire to hurry up Travis Scott. Yeah, knees to chest. I remember what I was gonna say. Did you guys catch in Cena's promo when he told them to apologize and they chanted "We are sorry," but then he said they were chanting "We aren't sorry," and the crowd was literally going "No." I was like, that's saying something when John Cena has the ability to make the entire crowd apologize to him. Because they were chanting "We are sorry," right? Yeah.
And he was the perfect heel.
Yep.
He gaslit everybody.
I think that he was really surprised when they when they actually started chanting that. So the Rock did this interview with Pat McAfee. Just which of these clips should we start with here?
The first, okay, we'll just do them in order. The first one
Rock
will
Chamber.
be Rock Mania Better is the first one.
Oh, okay.
Before we start, we should really point out this was an emergency damage control meeting.
Oh, was it?
Okay. I have not seen any of these clips, so
I haven't either. I wanted to go in fresh tonight.
The first one's more of a setup, but
Okay.
Well, I was very happy with the show. A couple of things I thought could have been better. Matches. First of all, I was very happy with the show. A couple of things I thought could have been better, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But overall, man, everyone, the work rate of every single performer, women and men. Men was dynamic. I thought.
So that
work rate.
Somewhere Dave.
This is the project. This is the project manager right after the project is done, and this is like these are the things that we need to work on later. I'm not liking it so far because he's like some things that could be better. Like, excuse me, go on.
Well, just wait. Do the chamber one next.
Chamber. Okay, here we go.
So, but beyond that, he goes. What we are finding is with Elimination Chamber, it's become the pay-per-view that's been interesting. Fans have had fun, but it's also the conduit to WrestleMania. And how do we create a Elimination Chamber that people must tune in to see? How do we create that? And he goes, right now, we don't have that. And he said, will the final boss show up? I said, well, let me give it some thought and let me get back to you. So I gave it some thought. I got back.
Wait, by he, does he mean Trip?
Yes.
No. I'm pretty sure he means Ari.
Oh, okay.
To Ari, I got back to Triple H and Nick. We had a call. And I said, I have an idea. What's most important to the final boss? The most important thing to the final boss isn't titles. It's not money. It's not fame. Been there, done that, and grateful for that. Final boss wants your soul.
When did the final boss want anyone's soul? What? No. What? No. The whole point of the final boss last year. The whole point of the final boss last year was legacy, family, and championships.
Yeah, no, he is, and this is like weeks before Elimination Chamber. He decides he's going to jump into Elimination Chamber and ask for Cody's soul.
The final boss. the final. Good Lord. I can't. The final boss cares so little about championships that he had his own one made and then gave it to Muhammad Ali's widow to give to him.
he's like, it's so political.
He walked into the room and said, what is the most important thing for the final boss? Like,
me.
Boy, these signals that he's sending out to the public are just pretty bad. It's almost like the IWCNN was a week too early in saying that WWE had bad PR.
Look at Pat McAfee. Look at his body language right now.
Yeah,
that is
he knows he's stepped and he knows he's got a scoop.
Listen, Pat knows what this is though. Pat was like, Pat's there. They know they stepped in a giant pile of shit by not giving everybody the main event they should have given them. It's just there is no excuse for the ending that we got. We can sit down and analyze it because that's what we do, right? We can try to figure out what they were thinking. But at the end of the day, this was the last match on the main night of WrestleMania, and the ending shit the bed. And it wasn't just Travis Scott. It was all of it. You needed The Rock. Cody should have gotten his receipt on Travis Scott. Cody probably should have kicked. There needed to be a little bit more than the belt shot. It was a shit show. And now they've had everybody who can get in front of a microphone since the end of that show. And this is the Rock this is the Rock spinning whatever narrative the TKO board approved. But it's not about money. Yes, we know. You got $30 million and $7 to go sit on the freaking board. Brother, you don't need any more money. We got it.
And you got the rights to your name.
So Marv, if we pull something else up, will you come back at this point in the video, or
I think so?
Okay, because I think right now would be a good time to actually look at Elimination Chamber ticket sales before and after the Rock showed up.
Okay, yes. All right. So this is before Rock, right? Or is
right?
This...
So if you look right there, the available tickets are only 3,613. This is on February 17th. Elimination Chamber happened on March 1st. They had already sold 27,544 tickets. They had 12 days left. And the reason that number is so high is because they had added tickets. They added a bunch of front row tickets to previously accounted. So they took away Upper Deck they added front row tickets in Upper Deck. I'm sorry. So the Upper Deck, they added the front row of that, but they added tickets to this before The Rock was announced. So the idea that ticket sales weren't good before The Rock was announced, and we do have the numbers for day of. We can see the final tally there on March 1st. You want me to just do it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So you can see they went up, obviously, 36,953. This was a few, these were days, but it's not like they were hurting for sales right here. And they usually have a big spike around that time. So the idea that it's like we're desperate for sales, and especially since they said this, Rock said that they reached out to him in the beginning of February at one point. Like it just doesn't.
Can we see the next slide again?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like. Also, this is, by the way, awful. Can you explain WrestleTix? Because this is also not great. It's the only source we have.
Yeah, they just simply get the information from the arena, and
right.
I believe
and they said
online,
here they even opened up more tickets. The point is that they're opening up tickets. The ticket sales aren't terrible. The ticket sales aren't enough to completely derail your main storyline.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't buy that the ticket sales were the reason The Rock was there. That's all I'm saying.
It's also, well, I don't understand. Why are we overcomplicating what the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view is? This pay-per-view works best when you let the Chamber just be. The brand that didn't win the Rumble has to fight it out in the Chamber. That's your crux for Mania. Yeah. Who's going to be the other person fighting for the other belt? You don't need all this other bullshit.
And you don't need if you really.
What does that mean?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
I was gonna say if you really
I didn't
want
realize
the Rock,
it would start playing automatically.
If you really want The Rock to be there and you really do need the ticket sales, he doesn't need to completely derail your main storyline by asking for Cody Rhodes' soul. Okay, you can have The Rock there. You can have him be the reason John Cena turns and not make it completely about The Rock. Still, it can just be, he came out to congratulate John Cena or something, and then John Cena kicked Cody in the balls. You didn't have to do all of that. You didn't have to make it about The Rock, and it was all about The Rock the entire time. You're watching Cody and Cena, you're thinking about The Rock. And that should not.
When The Rock,
I really wasn't, but
when The Rock's not on the screen, everyone should be asking, "Where's The Rock?"
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
What that means, that doesn't mean, hey, the final boss wants you to act like this, be like this at his beck and call, and treat you like crap and make you do all these things that are unbecoming or embarrassing. That's not what the final boss wants. That's not how the final boss flies. No. What that means is whatever you could think of in your head. So Cody Rhodes, whatever dreams you have, whatever ambitions you have, even if they're dark, even if they're amazing and they're full of light, even if they're scary.
Dude, why are you trying to sell us on this character still?
He's going to make it all happen.
Yeah, because they did it when they were supposed to.
None of what he is saying is the character that we have seen for the last year.
It's not the character he plays.
No.
I mean,
I don't know what he thinks, what show he thinks is going on in his weird Hollywood head, but it's not what everyone else is seeing. By the way, guys, we are so very close, and I'm pretty sure he's already filmed the movie that this is going to be, but we're getting Oscar bait Rock soon.
Oh, he's going to be in Scorsese's next movie.
He has hit that level of pompous where now all he's going to want is an Oscar. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, that magic wand.
Remember they were selling Southland Tales as the movie where he was going to be nominated for an Oscar.
Oh God.
Those are. You tell the final boss he's going to make it all happen. You wave that magic wand, he'll make it all happen. So when it comes to giving me your soul, giving the final boss your soul, that is what you want, not what the final boss wants. And so
What? I'm starting to think that this is why Meltzer thinks him and The Rock are friends, because they both speak in nonsense.
And it doesn't help that The Rock is basically saying the final boss, the character of the final boss is that he's the best in the world and everyone wants to be him and he has no weaknesses. Like, that's what he's saying right now.
Well, the biggest thing about the final boss is that he starred in Black Adam and it was a hit.
Final boss is handsome and he's really tall.
Regina Sharp said it for $5. The Rock Black Adam should have been a hit. I honestly think all of this is because he got his first flop. And it wasn't even that
he wouldn't
terrible.
He wouldn't have come back to wrestling if he hadn't gotten that flop, I would argue.
Let me tell you something. If Black Adam didn't flop, The Rock would have been jobbing out Henry Cavill instead of Cody Rhodes.
Just so you guys know, this is the same promo that he cut on Cody Rhodes not that long ago. The whole, I'm going to take your soul. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's just repeating, regurgitating what he told Cody Rhodes that fateful day.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is anybody else going to start talking if I hit the play button? No one? All right.
That is what you want, not what the final boss wants. And so what does the final boss get out of that? I get your soul for life. That's what the final boss gets out of that. No.
But what does that mean?
So now we go into Elimination Chamber with this idea of, will Cody Rhodes sell his soul to the final boss? And my thought at that time, and you and I might have even talked, I know we talked about this, was it was a litmus test to find out, in my opinion, how will fans respond if Cody sold his soul to the final boss?
Not well, because it would have been dumb.
Let's take our hottest babyface. Our hottest babyface, and just turn him heel. We don't need him.
Turn him heel because The Rock wants him to be a heel.
Well, that tells you The Rock spends too much time on the internet, because you have that contingent of we can't be happy with anything IWC tards who are just screaming that Cody should be a heel. We want Cody to turn heel. Cody should be heel. Make him heel. You're like, no, Cody is not Homelander. He likes to dress like him. That's like just let the Cody is like the first actual true white bread baby face that I think we've seen in like what? Well, I guess maybe Cena, but
definitely Cena.
But Cena's like legit the only one running around at that point in time. Everybody else is just they have like and I mean one with charisma who's over, not like I'm trapped in the mid card. I'm trying to do doing the right thing because I don't get storylines. So it's like
he's very much stuck in that kind of 2000 mindset of like everyone's got to be a shade of gray, everything's got to be kind of dark, everything's got to be and it's like we've kind of wrestling, at least WWE has moved past that.
Yes,
WWE isn't in that like dark weird. It's more fun, it's more upbeat, and that's why things like Wyatt Six and Final Testament have a hard time getting over, is because people don't want to feel creeped out or they just want to go to a WWE show and have a good time with their kids, and they want to yeet and they want to leave happy. They don't want this anymore. The Rock also feels like someone who doesn't watch the product. He feels like someone who reads the results of the product online and doesn't actually watch the shows. That's what he sounds like he's booking. Is that he gets a general idea of what's going on.
I think it looks like I think Rock pays attention to every show, and in his mind it's just like things aren't going right. And because I've got this stupid power play thing going on with Triple H that goes way back, and because one of my best friends is the president of WWE in Nick Khan, like he feels like he can do this like 3 a.m. idea stuff with somebody else's money, with somebody else's time.
And I also think he hates Triple H. I think he hates
Triple H. I think Triple H hates him.
Yeah,
could you imagine?
This is the second time in a row he's done that.
Yeah,
Triple H, every time his phone rings and it says The Rock on it, and he's just like,
Well, he's such a shoehorn. You know what I mean? It's like the guy that your boss tells you, I know he's not that good, but Rock's not anybody's cousin, but that's what it's kind of like. It's like you need to let he's not good, but everyone else acts like he's really good and he has to be there. Rock is a fantastic performer, a wonderful performer, but he's not writing his movies. He's not, what I mean? Like he's not.
Here's a better analogy, and we're only gonna do this because I think it fits. The Rock is Bill Clinton.
Justify.
So whenever Obama there's a hysterical picture of it. There's a hysterical, I think is one of the funniest things ever happened. Anytime you said Bill Clinton around Obama like Sideshow Bob shudders. And if Obama was someplace, Bill Clinton would show up and just steal all the thunder and just start talking. and there's a press conference where Bill Clinton is in the picture. He's like doing this. Hi, everybody, it's party time. And Obama's at the podium like this, like legit. It's just rubbing his face. Like, why is he here?
Yep.
That is the dynamic. You have someone who is incredibly popular.
I remember that meme. The day I saw that meme was better blowjobs than no jobs. Am I
right? So, like, that's what's going. You have this guy who has a lot of stroke, who is incredibly popular, incredibly charismatic, but like you're over here trying to do your thing, and for all intents and purposes, maybe your thing's working, maybe it's not, but you're doing your thing, and then this guy shows up and fucking derails everything you're working on, so that he can pat himself on the back for 20 minutes and go home until he wants to reappear again.
And then he leaves behind his henchmen to make sure that you're Brian Gewirtz. He leaves behind the putty patrol to make sure that you're doing things correctly.
And Brian Gewirtz,
I was literally just about to say he's Finster. He's Finster.
the only, like, Brian Gewirtz, the highlight of Brian Gewirtz's career is like Young Rock. Like that guy, Brian Gewirtz. I'm sorry, he had a decent run in WWE, but you can never take the writers under Vince as like being the masterminds, you know, because every time, with the exception of people who proved themselves before they were under Vince. So guys like Cornette, guys like Heyman, those guys, you already knew they were good before Vince. But everyone else that has come out from under Vince, besides Triple H, has kind of proven that they can't do it without him. Like you had Vince Russo, and look what happened to him. You had Brian Gewirtz, and look, you know, I mean, it's you can't give the success of the early 2000s era to Brian Gewirtz. That is Vince's success. So the idea that they're letting Brian Gewirtz, and I know they are, and it's like, people try to tell me, you don't know, you're just fantasy, you're what is it, fan fiction, you're writing fan fiction, and it's like, dude, I have eyes. I can see when something doesn't feel the same way as the entire rest of the show, you know. And when Brian Gewirtz is in charge of a segment, it feels completely different than anything else on the show. It sticks out like a sore thumb.
Kevin, what is the Brian Gewirtz special?
Poop, farts,
gay
sex.
You can't see me.
You can't see me.
Wait, I literally, the day that that the spirits, they rained poop on Vince and the Spirit Squad, we were like, Gewirtz has just achieved his final form. Or at the time we said Gerwitz, because literally everyone thought his name was Gerwitz. Paul Heyman even said, do you remember when we were going into One Night Stand, the first one, and Tommy Dreamer and Paul Heyman were hosting like Bite This or something like that. It was like one of the internet shows. And somebody was talking about the JBL shoot promo. And he goes, he came out there and cut his little shoot promo, which was probably written by that asshole Brian Gerwitz. Oh, it was amazing.
Oh, when Brian Gewirtz was not in WWE, Heyman did nothing but talk crap about Brian Gewirtz.
Oh, yeah, no, he hated him
for years, you know. And Paul Heyman, people don't realize how involved Paul Heyman is in the current WWE. How, like, every great storyline, Paul Heyman has a hand in it. Him and Triple H work very close together. And for someone, even if Brian Gewirtz was talented, for someone to just come in and break up that dynamic is going to be, you know, jarring to a team like that. So
the next 10 years in WWE is going to be very interesting. There's a lot of backstage politicking and power playing happening right now.
We still have one more video from The Rock.
Oh, yeah. We're not done.
Out of that. Was there ever a moment where anybody was trying to tell you differently? Like, no, Final Boss. Anytime you're around is a good thing, not a bad thing.
No, well, they don't have to say anything like that to me. And they know when I come to them, and them meaning Triple H and Nick and Ari as well, and I lay this out and I say, hey, here's how I really feel it should go. We can't.
They say, yes, sir.
And insert Final Boss in the end of this finish. But then where do we go? there's other commitments that I have, and I want to also be careful that we're not overstepping. And
The Rock has other commitments, and let The Rock be perfectly clear: the WWE is the last commitment that The Rock has time for.
Can we acknowledge the fact that The Rock keeps saying, everything's for the future? He has not answered one question that he's asked since he came back to WWE. Not one. We had to deduce the Rock thing, or the watch thing, because that was that wasn't something they said blatantly, because that's not cool. You have to slip it in when people don't realize that it was. So that one we had to make up in our heads and decide that's what it was. And then the soul he threw in there, which we have no answer for. Why John Cena turned, we don't have an answer for. And he's champion now. We don't have an answer. Rock loves this idea of I don't think he knows the ending of any of these things. I don't think he has any idea what the soul is, or why John Cena did that. He doesn't. He just comes in and drops bombs all over the place and expects people to clean up after him.
Well, that's what he has. That's what he has Gerwitz for.
Right.
The Rock wants to do this. Make it happen, and then he leaves.
The most.
How do you half-ass a story like that? How do you come into the boardroom listen, guys, I got a great half-ass idea
For the main event of WrestleMania.
I guarantee that Rock's big idea was, wouldn't it be cool if I asked for Cody's soul? That was the extent of the thought that he put into that, is that it would make a very cool TV segment. And then after that, well, no, we'll figure it out. We'll get there.
Well, remember he did spill the beans. He said it was a litmus test.
Yeah.
He was checking the temperature of how it was going to go, and obviously it went one way.
He's so much smarter than us. He's
Rock.
always.
Well, he's Hollywood. He's Hollywood, and they are always smarter and better and more wonderful than all
more
of us.
handsome. Yeah.
Yes. The Rock says he's going to come in here. He's going to tell you what's going on for WrestleMania, and then he's clearly going to take the Tyrannosaurus head off the wall in Vince's old office, because it's clearly sitting there behind him in this shot right now. I just noticed the Tyrannosaurus head behind him.
Oh, that's a different one. It's a different one.
It's a different one.
He bought his own Tyrannosaurus head, Marv.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, when you turn that thing around, it's got Vince's signature on
it. Well, he has a cast of Vince's skull in the other room.
Oh, clearly.
Listen, this is what we talked about last year, though. We are seeing for the first time WrestleManias that are outside of the control of Vince McMahon. This is WrestleMania. This is corporate WrestleMania. Yes, fine, you have a chief creative officer, but those tickets were moving a little slower than they wanted them to move, right? It's sold out, but they move slower than they wanted to move. These people panic, and when you panic, they keep breaking they keep rubbing the lamp that summons the final boss, or maybe they just yell Shazam and he shows up. But whenever you summon him, it comes with, it's like a monkey's paw. It comes with a bunch of unintended consequences.
But bro, he wasn't summoned. He summoned himself. He brought himself right into the picture.
Oh no,
I'm sure Ari summoned him.
I'm sure Ari summoned him. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think Ari is going to take him whenever he can get him. I think Ari is a mark for The Rock. I think he loves him, and I think he believes. I think if The Rock came to Ari tomorrow and said, "Fire Triple H, I want Brian Gerwitz in charge, but I'll come back and I'll be there full time," he would do it in a heartbeat. Heartbeat. He would do it.
I think it's also a situation where it almost feels to me, because like you said, he always wants everything to be all edgelordy and all dark and early 2000s. I think The Rock is trying to turn WWE what he wanted to turn the DC universe into, because The Rock tried to take over the DC universe, and Warner Brothers, ejected him after Black Adam bombed. And I think now he's just doing it with WWE.
It also doesn't help that TKO is he's not only on the board, they are his agents, they manage him. He is a TKO property just as much as WWE, just as much as UFC. So, they have, excuse me, they have a vested interest in him, more so than a guy like Triple H, who I don't know. I wonder how much
his daughter is going to run WWE in the next 15 years.
I wonder how much they honestly believe that WWE is a turnkey operation at this point. because I don't believe it is. I don't believe it is at all. I think that if we had another 4 or 5 years of what we were being given when towards the end of Vince's run, when he wasn't really in it, or he wasn't at his peak back then, I think you would have really started to see more of a decline than they already had in business. And I think that by seeing how much business went up post-pandemic, you can see the difference in creative, how much that affects business. So I'm curious, because I do think that they're under the impression either that it is a turnkey operation, or that, hey, you know what? The Rock drew so much money. He probably, in Triple H didn't draw as much money as The Rock. So obviously The Rock knows what he's doing more than Triple H. They seem to have a very
weird...
and
therein lies the issue with any wrestler that gets big enough where they could start calling their own shots. You find out they're not creative people.
Hulk Hogan wasn't.
They're not. Hulk Hogan was not a creative. Chris Jericho is not a creative. Edge is not a creative. The Rock is not a creative. John Moxley is not a creative.
And by the way,
all things we're learning.
Someone in the chat said I need to listen to Nick Khan, and they don't think that way. I'm not talking about Nick Khan. I'm talking about Ari. I'm talking about head of TKO. Yeah. I'm sure Nick Khan has, and Triple H, and that, because Nick Khan is Triple H, and they're all buddies. But I think that Ari is sitting above them and will do pretty much anything The Rock wants him to do.
No, gotta remember too, though, Nick Khan, like the Nick Khan Rock relationship goes back way back.
Yeah, they're childhood buddies.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
So it's yeah, fine. Everything's cool with Nick on the day to day, but when panic sets in, you can't. And, The Rock is a dopamine hit, because yes, when he shows up, more tickets sell, people get excited, and then he leaves. But what Triple H is trying to do is trying to teach everybody how to function without needing the dopamine hit. And there's a clash of mentalities. And last year, when everybody coalesced and came together and they found a way to work together, it was fantastic. This year, there was clearly some kind of a breakdown in communications, and we got what we got. Now the question is, especially now that everybody's on this emergency whirlwind tour to try to explain it away and get everybody focused on the fact that Monday happened. Did we learn the lesson? Or is it time to coalesce, or is it going to be more of this, or is it going to be more of the bullshit? Because that's the only company that's going to stop the WWE is the WWE. You got to, and right now they're desperate to try to create viable competition for themselves, because they clearly do not consider AEW an issue. They just don't, right? I think I just saw AEW had to cancel a bunch of shows that were coming up in a few weeks.
Spoiler.
Sorry. So clearly they're not competition. So does that mean that WWE is looking to do business with New Japan so they can pump them up? Did they buy Triple H so they could pump them up? I think the rumor of it being NXT Mexico is just no. It's just it comes with an extra set of chromosomes. It's what's the end game here? Like, did you figure this shit out, or are we going to be watching it, or are we going to get to SummerSlam and everybody's going to kind of be stuck on what the hell was that again? Because if you do that again, you're in that danger zone of getting rid of goodwill.
You know what Brian Gortz was really good at when he was writing is
poop jokes.
Big
Dick Johnson.
Waiting just too long for a reveal, right? Like everything went on just a little past the point that it should have. And that's kind of what this is starting to feel like with The Rock. But this actually does get interesting still. And I can tell we want to talk about AAA. So
it's so crazy how Cody is getting jerked around with his championship all throughout this whole saga.
Our skis too much here. Can get involved in the finish. And I said, but why get involved in that finish when the spotlight should just be on, in my opinion,
Travis Scott.
17 heel champion. What does 2025 look like if this man is saying he's going to ruin professional wrestling?
Oh, hold on a second.
That to me is the anchoring.
I won't blame Travis Scott on The Rock. That company has a celebrity fetish. They always have.
It does.
They always have. I just have to wonder. And Triple H is all about Travis Scott. Like he looked like a glowing mom watching her son a walk for the first time.
Can I? There's something that when I saw the Travis Scott thing, the whole situation felt like this is a hole we're leaving in the booking of the match in case The Rock can be here, right? Yeah. And The Rock couldn't be there, so we now need to fill that entire time up with Travis Scott. Like it felt like that was a placeholder because they thought that The Rock could. Because if The Rock showed up WrestleMania Day and said, "You know what, I do want to do it," he would have been able to do it. So they had to keep that open. And the fact that he didn't show up, I think, affected the match in the end because it was kind
what
of.
What the hell was The Rock doing on Sunday?
He's in Hawaii. I think.
Yeah, he was in Hawaii.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, somebody said that it was because he was doing reshoots on a movie, and the only movie that he filmed in Hawaii recently that I could think of is Moana. And I'm like, if Disney ruined WrestleMania, I'm gonna be so pissed.
No, from what I heard, well, first off, he's playing a Hawaiian gangster in the next movie in the Scorsese movie, so it might have something to do with that. But no, I heard that it was that part of the reason that he wasn't wrestling wasn't. That's why I kept saying Dave Meltzer might be right, is because they're insured by the movie companies through times that they need to do reshoots, and this is within the time that Moana would have to do reshoots, and they just probably don't want him to wrestle, so.
Oh, yeah, I can get an answer for that because one of my best friends works for Lloyd's of London, and I can tell you.
There you go. While you're doing that, let's.
All right, let's listen to this
storyline. It's not soul right now. Right now, it's not. But by the way, we'll go back to it.
We'll still got it. Yeah. Still
we'll go back to soul. Look, I can't take the text that I got and from the guys that I got. Who are these top guys who are saying, one in particular who I love is my guy. I call him the Superman of the company. He's like, listen, my soul's for sale when it's time. And I said, I love it. Let's do it. So look, I love Travis Scott involved, and I'll tell you why. Because he.
Okay. I didn't get the rest of that. But yeah. By the way, Superman of the company is Seth. He has called Seth Rollins the Superman of the company multiple times. Right. So, that whole thing. Like I said, he's always just like, no, hey, remember the soul. We'll get back to it. But we're not there. It's like, dude, you can't make everything last forever. You got to give us something, And I guess when we get
enough
back to
edging.
Yes. Thank you. Awful. I hate that.
Blame Netflix.
Yeah, for real.
No, you can blame Netflix on the reality show coming up.
All right, we gotta get to some super chats. AA for $10 says, if we're talking longevity, Austin's 316 shirts are top merch sellers many years after he retired. In my opinion, I don't believe Cena's merch will be hot items after he retires. Sorry, not sorry. Well, I mean, the Austin 316 shirt is an anomaly, like the NWO shirt. It is one of those shirts that will always sell. Like, I can't think of another specific t-shirt that will just always sell, but that one will. And the NWO shirt will. So Austin and Kevin Nash will be rich forever.
The Tooney shirt.
Yeah, I think we've sold 5 of them, and 4 of them were to us. I'm kidding.
Pretty dope.
No. That, by the way, that is on sale, guys. You can get your copy of the Tooney Town Wrestling shirt. I'm looking for the little thing that we've got here. Yep. You can scan this QR code and get your Tooney Town TV shirt today. We've got more of them coming. So make sure you're checking that out.
Buy the shirt.
Redisaurus for $5 says, why are they resurrecting the Cross Styles feud when it did nothing for either man the first time around? Isn't there anyone else for him to target? I mean, I think that Karrion Kross should be targeting the unemployment line because I see no value in him. I do not like him. I do not think he's very good at anything. I just don't care when he comes up on my TV. And this little pipe bomb promo that he did, either they've got a plan for him or he just screwed himself over. Go ahead.
I haven't. So his branch does not personally cover him, but he says The Rock is allowed exceptions because he has the ability to purchase his own insurance when he goes to do a movie. If he opts not to and he's covered by the studio oftentimes will not let him, because if he gets hurt, it'll delay the film. So if The Rock is wrestling while shooting, it's because he foregoed getting studio coverage and decided to cover himself.
Okay.
Gotcha. Now, before we go on to the next super chat, Marv, you don't like Cross. What are your thoughts on Rusev showing up?
I already said I liked it. I liked Rusev showing up. I liked the fact that he looked like a threat again. He actually looked dangerous again. He didn't look like, a 300-pound nerd. Yeah, I don't mind Rusev. I like Rusev. I've always liked Rusev. I just don't think Karrion Kross has much, what was your guys' take on this little pipe bomb thing that he did?
Listen, Kross cuts fantastic promos. They just need to let him do it on TV. The guy's social media is magnificent. They just don't do it on TV. Now they're finally letting it happen on TV. He is untapped potential for whatever reason. A lot of it is just when you have a roster that big, it does get hard to juggle some things. And the Final Testament thing was should have worked, but it didn't. But this, you have him in his element with AJ. AJ has a chance to. Listen, AJ's the easy one, right? If you can have a good match with AJ, it puts you on the map in terms of the fandom because AJ has had a super impressive career, and for someone to come in from the outside to win the WWE title as fast as he did, and has silently been Mr. WrestleMania. He's been a very quiet Mr. WrestleMania. This is probably Kross's last chance to make an impact, but the guy has been awesome. I've been saying it. If there's no reason that this guy should not be an IC title contention by the time we hit Survivor Series. If he isn't, they messed up.
Well, I would say mostly because he gets the anti-pop when he comes out also. I've never heard the crowd react to him.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with him being pushed in a faction at a time when wrestling fans had a lot of faction fatigue. WWE had the Bloodline. WWE had the Wyatts. WWE had what are they called? Judgment Day. It's like we had all these factions, and AEW had 1,000 factions at the time. To make another faction, and not only that, but to bring back two guys who, fairly or not, weren't that over when they were there the first time, and didn't really look like they cared to be there that much in the first place. And put them with him.
Yeah,
it split the focus. Karrion Kross, if the focus is on him and he gets a push, it'll be fine. And he didn't have a feud with Styles. I mean, he did, but he didn't. Like, he was kind of the guy who was going to be there every week while the other guy was off somewhere else. Like, he wasn't in a feud. So, putting them together, I see big things for Karrion Kross, and I think really, even though he wasn't really on WrestleMania all that much, that promo that he did caught a lot of people's attention.
The fact that they put him on in the spot they put him in tells you that we're ramping up for something.
Yeah.
All right. So Don Hoff for $2 says I'd add a tag team to Seth and Braun. I would too. I don't know which tag team I would add.
A-Town Down Under. Easy. Yeah,
I could see that. That's a good fit. Chef Eddie for $5 says, how amazing was it to see Randy Orton versus the TNA champion at WrestleMania? That was a legendary moment that is not talked about enough. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
That was
Max ran out of the house when that happened. I'm sorry, I popped like Max did. Max ran
I know of the house when that you've been asking for that all night. So
I've gone to
he was
no, I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Anyone that is complaining about it doesn't understand, as Kevin likes to say, it is more important to get over than to go over. The TNA champion was on WrestleMania in front of 65,000 people and bumped one of the biggest names of the last 20 years. So, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
They all sang his song. He got a massive pop. The TNA world title has never been seen by more people simultaneously at any point in time in its entire life cycle. And that's even when
a wild slap nuts appears. Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
So
going against Randy Orton at WrestleMania, losing to Randy Orton at WrestleMania, his 20th WrestleMania, is not a bad thing, and especially when Randy Orton handpicked you, from what I heard, And on his way out, Triple H stopped him and said, "This is going to be the easiest WrestleMania you ever do." When you hear that on your way to the ring, I mean, come on, man. They believe in him. It's real. Like Joe Hendry.
Wait, he said that to Randy, or he said it to Hendry?
He said that to Hendry. He said
okay.
he said your first WrestleMania is going to be the easiest one you ever do, and there's going to be many more to come. So he clearly has plans for him. I think there's no one should have any problem with Joe Hendry. All I see, I barely went on the internet in the past few days, but every time I go on, it's people being like, "I can't believe they buried TNA."
I said it the second it happened.
Assholes.
The second it happened, I said this is going to be the reaction from short-sighted people that they buried them. But
you see what are those idiots at What Culture? Oh
my God!
Yeah.
You can't listen to anything they say.
Cultaholic too. They did it too.
Same thing. They are. Look, at the end of the day, you want to talk about not putting TNA over? How about sending in Kenny Omega to run roughshod on their roster, win the belt, and then drop it to another AEW guy on an AEW show? And then have Tony Khan cut a series of cringy, unanswered heel promos about how much TNA sucks. You know, WWE has never taken a shot at TNA since they have been working with them. I also don't buy the whole thing where like somebody, I forget which dirt sheet said it, but they're like, I think it was Meltzer. He was just like, oh, you know, the reason they have TNA and they've got, AAA is because they want to just, give programming to the overseas markets to stop them from taking AEW. No, they don't need them for that. They don't need them for that. If WWE wants to give India a show, they'll just make a new show for India.
Can I ask you guys a question? What if there's a new wrestling fan or a younger wrestling fan out there, and they see Randy Orton, they know Randy Orton, he's at WrestleMania, and then they see his opponent, this guy they've never seen before, this Joe Hendry character. Sure, the crowd is into them, he got a big pop and all that, but this young kid here, he don't know Joe Hendry from a hole in the wall. Does that then make it look like Joe Hendry looks like a jobber out there or what?
No,
because you saw the reaction that Joe Hendry got.
It's gonna make the kid more curious, and they're gonna go home and Google Joe Hendry, then go to YouTube and watch TNA matches, and that
they're gonna say, "Why is he so popular and I don't know him? Why is everyone singing his song and I don't know who he is?" Let me look.
I'm only asking because I've seen that the excuses for all of this have been very elementary, so I'd figure I'd ask a retarded question myself.
Devil's advocate.
Because one, they don't understand. A match doesn't have to be 20 minutes. A match can be 3. A match can be 2. They told a really simple story. They got in. He was a surprise. The story was Randy Orton is facing a surprise opponent, but Randy Orton's Randy Orton. They lock up. Joe Hendry got to bump him. Joe Hendry got distracted. Joe Hendry got RKO'd. Randy put him over. Said, "Good job." And because it's Randy, hit him with the RKO. He did business this night. That's all that was. More people. There were more, like I said, there are more people on Joe Hendry and the TNA World Title than TNA has been able to muster in probably 7 years.
And the fact that they booked it to
okay. We're done with this. We're moving on. It's almost 10 o'clock. We can't spend too much time on Joe Hendry. You and Cumia for $4.99 says Camping World Stadium is the Citrus Bowl. The Orange Bowl was in Miami. That's my mistake. Or did I purposely make that mistake to make somebody super chat to correct me? That would be really diabolical if I did that. JPS for 5 says, I hate that I had to deal with Cena as champion for 11 years, but these fans can't handle Cody for a year. They deserved every second of that bad ending. Oh my goodness, I can see that. BT23 for 5 says, knowing that it wouldn't happen, but someone should face Cena telling him that he doesn't have the record of titles and hope we get even healer Cena. How does he not have the record? Oh, because Flair has a million.
Because Ric Flair's coping.
At the end of the day, yes, Ric Flair really has 20 titles. However, and so Vince McMahon wanted the number to be 17. Flair told him no, it's 16 because I think Flair won a non-televised event, and then the W stripped it. Case in point, like Lex Luger winning the title and it being stripped. The NWA I think Flair beat Harley 2 or 3 times in different countries, but there were no cameras there. So the NWA officially dropped those reigns. Flair is the one who set the number. Flair's the one who set the number. If you listen to Vince, it would have been one higher. So Flair's just coping because he's,
And wasn't there?
This is the only thing he's got.
Yeah.
So one of apparently Ric Flair's assistant or something posted something to his social media where it was a picture of him and Cena backstage at Mania. It was like, "I love you, John Cena. You deserve this." And because I'm like, anytime Flair has actually talked about it, it's been, I got 20. It's like, no, like you yourself don't count the time that you won it from Jeff Jarrett and dropped it to Russo.
It wasn't there something about where some of those title changes were actually made because Flair was like being nice to the promoter in the town, like he would say, "Oh, I'll drop it really quick and then I'll win it back," and nobody will even know.
Or he was afraid that he would die. It's in the case of Carlos Colon in Puerto Rico.
There are even instances where Flair dropped the title but no one won it and he just took it. He just got it back. So if they're not recorded in the PW. If they're not recording the PW list, it's like, dude, stop it. Just stop it.
Butter Biscuit 92 for $10 says it's a newcomer. I think he sucks because he has one gimmick. Outside that gimmick, he's nothing. He is awful on the mic. They needed 2 other people to carry him. They are pushing him hard. Butter Biscuit's got an opinion, and I respect Butter Biscuit's opinion. It is especially as a new fan, if it's not hitting with you, it's not hitting with you. And it's just a matter of how many people does it hit with versus how many people does it not hit with. And I guess in the case of Jey Uso, it's hitting with a lot more people than it's missing. And you can't so as much as I don't like Jey Uso, I understand why Jey Uso is the champion right now. Jey Uso is the champion because he sells merchandise, because he moves tickets, and that's what you have to do as a for-profit business.
Yeah, and like he said, he's a newcomer, so
he throws a pretty good mean super kick as well.
All B booty bitches and bacon with big boobies for $2 is I don't like The Rock now, and it's The Rock with a clown face on him. I missed the screaming Australian lady.
Well, because if he did, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, that's true. Wing Moonlight for $5 says, so good to see you guys. I look forward to every stream on both channels. Much love to you guys. Thank you, Wing Moonlight. Good to see you here as well, my friend, and hope to see you on Thursday as well. Virginia Sharp for 5 says, if video games have taught me anything, the final boss just wants epic choirs, maybe a monologue, and a weapon that can't be avoided without a MacGuffin. Yeah. I'm on the final boss of Lunar Star Story right now because I'm playing the remastered version, and that is about correct.
Hey, are you going, not to derail you, but you're playing so Renegade that you're gonna get the option where you can go kill the entire cult, right? I've never seen it, so tell me when you're gonna play it.
Which cult? The biotic cult?
When you go to the planet, and Lance Hendricks tells you, "Well, Shepard, I think it's like you can either go into one of 2 buildings, and the building you can enter is determined by your Renegade Paragon level."
Oh, I don't know if I've ever done that one.
I just want to point out, you stopped me from talking about Joe Hendry, and you're talking about Mass Effect right now.
I would also like to point out that it's my fucking show, and I'll talk about whatever the fuck I know. Dial C4 for $2 says, Rock Cody, I want your cheeks. BT23 for $2 says, Rock, please put the Terramania down.
When Rock said souls, when Rock said soul, he meant souls. He's a footman like Tony Atlas. It has nothing to do with Tony.
The Rock wants your souls.
Give me them tootsies.
Oh no. Oh gosh. If Trish were here right now, she'd be dry heaving.
This little piggy wants a market.
Oh my goodness. I love him so much. So we talked about this for a bit before, but AEW has apparently canceled some shows. It canceled a Collision taping in Wichita, Kansas, set for May 17th. Dynamite on May 14th in Hoffman Estates will now be a Dynamite and Collision taping, which I'm assuming will also have an ROH taping thrown in there as well. ROH Supercard of Honor, set for May 2nd in Atlantic City, is moved 2 months later to Arlington, Texas, in July 11th at Esports Arena.
Think about that. That's a pay-per-view that was supposed to happen May 2nd that they just moved 2 months.
I'm assuming the reason this is happening is because no one bought tickets for them.
Correct. That is correct, sir.
So Brandon, Thurston Brandonson says last of WrestleTix tickets distributed estimate for Wichita was 1,158. Last estimate for Supercard of Honor in Atlantic City was 1,144. They also announced ROH Death Before Dishonor on September 5th at 2300 Arena in Philadelphia.
Oh, so they're going to stink that place up too, huh? Okay.
Is 2300 Arena? Is that
That's
that's not
ECW.
Yeah.
It is ECW,
Why would you
yeah.
not just call it the ECW Arena?
Because they don't have it's the 2300
Can't
arena.
call it
That's
the
what it's
E-
called
It's
now.
Yeah.
Brandon Thurston. He can call it the ECW Arena.
Well, he can, yeah. But
AEW is sliding, man. They just don't have the interest. I want to point out, when we started this show, it was basically us just making fun of AEW for 3 hours. And I can't find anything interesting enough to talk about anymore about AEW.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's bad when you just have apathy. Like it's when you can't even like muster up the. Well, I think one of the things that hurts is that Tony doesn't tweet anymore. Which I mean, like that was just such fodder for everybody.
no, it just blocks all of us, so we don't see his tweets too much.
Well, you can still
anymore.
see him, but
Yeah.
no, it's a it's a whole nonsense company right now, and what you're seeing which is incredible to me is that we've hit a point where Tony's money is no longer a difference maker. It's a difference maker for washed out WWE guys who want a big payday at the end of the road, like Edge or Jericho. But now for people like Mariah May, for people like, for Cody, for Punk, you're seeing them, the Lucha Brothers, they're leaving now for less guaranteed money to go to WWE. And I think that's because people see what happened with Cody. They see what happened with Punk. They see that Penta is already a star. They see that Ricky Saints is already a big star.
Mm-hmm.
They are seeing what's happening over there. And yeah, one of the things that Nick Khan said in that interview, which I thought was really interesting, was, we're never going to sign people and then sideline them. If we're signing you, it means we want to use you. And that was a shot across the bow, because that's Tony collects. Tony, you just have to come be my friend and I'll pay you money. But a lot of these guys who are in their 20s right now, and their career is going hot. Jim Cornette said it. He was like, look, if you are like in your 30s and you just don't see it for yourself, and this guy's offering you more money than you've ever seen in your life, then take the money.
Yes. Josh
Take the
Alexander
money.
went exactly where he should go. Josh Alexander,
Exactly.
that's exactly where he needs to be.
Exactly. But he's like, if you are in your 20s and you're over and you really want to make a go at this, you have to go. You have to go to WWE at that point. If they're
Yeah, go ahead. The comment that I keep hearing is Omos. Everyone brings up Omos, and they're even bringing up in the chat, Omos, where are they? He's benched. Nick said, if we sign you, we are not signing you to bench you. It means that when we sign you, we want to use you. Omos should not be used every day.
Yep.
Omos is an attraction.
Omos is an attraction. Yep.
Keep him. What ruined Big Show was that he was a weekly character. Omos needs to be somebody who shows up every once, like Andre. That's how they
That's what they did with Andre. Andre came through the territory every couple of months, or even once a year. And when he showed up, it was a big deal.
Yep. Omos is off TV to get the stink off of Omos. He's in Japan to learn how to wrestle, to get different experience. This is also why they're doing these partnerships. The NXT kids, yes, you train all bloody day, but your experience comes from working. So they need different crowds. They need different kinds of crowds, different kinds of locker rooms. So it's twofold. Omos is learning his craft, but we also have to pull a couple of years worth of stink off of him, so that when you put him back on TV, he is a threat again.
Yeah. And before the chat jumps on you, yes, they did pull him out of Japan. They have plans for him. That's what that means. You haven't seen it yet, but they do have plans for him.
Because after WrestleMania is when we start to move on all of our new plans. A new story is now being told.
Yes.
So, oh my gosh, but I think it's very interesting, because it was always, Cornette said this too. He was like, look, when Vince was in charge, and it was a crazy, out of touch octogenarian pervert with running things, then yeah, maybe you don't take that chance for less money. But right now, when they're making more money than God and they're hitting and hitting and hitting, you should want to go there. Mariah May should want to go there. But then Tony and Brian brought this up, and I thought this was interesting as well. When we talk about Mariah May, it's like Mariah May was involved in one of the hottest angles that they had going with Tony Storm, and they just blew it off when she said she was leaving. They blew it off, pulled her off TV. That was it. Why wouldn't you use her to put somebody over on the way out? Why wouldn't you see this through to its conclusion? Like when Ricochet said he was leaving, they used him to make Braun Breaker a legitimate monster.
You
know, it's
because Tony isn't a booker; he's a collector, and because he plays with living toys, one of his living toys said, "Hey, I want to leave," and he boo-boo faced and put her in the box.
Crazy. It's so crazy how also AEW is getting smaller and smaller each and every day. Like it's going. I mean, for as much as we like to whine and cry or possibly bitch or even compliment the ending of WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2, you know who had no problem watching WrestleMania? Every AEW talent that night saw what was going on, and they want a piece of that. It may not be the promise of stardom in WWE, but there's at least an opportunity of stardom in WWE, and that's what they're seeing with Ricky Starks and all the others.
When you looked at Ricky Starks at WrestleMania last year, watching in the skybox next to Dustin, you got to think that was the moment for him where he was just like, "Yeah, this is what it's got to be."
Yeah,
but the reality of it too is, even a WWE failure or a crash out is still more well known and has more equity than any of the main eventers that are currently running around on AEW, any of the main eventers that are currently running around in New Japan. So a mid-carder who loses every Monday has more equity.
Yeah, people keep naming people that WWE isn't using. Yes, that's not what Nick Khan said. Nick Khan said that they don't sign people to bench them. It doesn't mean that when they are trying to retool them, they don't bench them. Of course, you bench somebody if they need to be benched. That's what you do. You do it because you plan on using them in the future.
Yes.
That's
the difference here is Tony brings guys in, and 3 months later they're benched.
Right. He brings them in for one match, and we'll bench them. You know,
you come out for a match, and then you're gone for 8 weeks, and then maybe you come out again, and then you're gone for another 15 weeks. And then you're lucky. You're lucky if you get banished to ROH.
Was it Stephanie Vacker or Vacour, or was it Julia who they brought her in to job to Mercedes and wanted to bring her in again to keep jobbing to Mercedes?
That was Vacker.
No, thank you. I'm going.
Yep.
Julia, I don't even think went into AEW. She made a beeline straight for NXT.
By the way, Erica M just said, "Oh my God, Tony is that weird chubby duck in the DuckTales that made his parents his servants." Yeah, he's Doofus Drake. Kevin and I have made that in private. Kevin and I have made that comparison before because we've been trying to figure out some way to make like a Tony Khan Doofus Drake parody character. But yes, if you watch that episode of DuckTales, that is 100% Tony Khan. It's just, I mean, kudos to him for finally for not having Collision on Saturday night. Because
I mean, he switched it around, put it on Thursday.
Well, and every other year, he puts it on Saturday and it gets destroyed. And I think this year he knew they would have had under 100,000 people watching.
Is this the week that we're getting 4 hours on Wednesday? Where they're doing Dynamite and Collision back to back on Wednesday night?
Oh my gosh, I heard about that they're doing 4 hours. And all the people that hate
3 hour Raw
are like, woohoo. No, they're airing it back. They're airing it back to back.
Yeah, they're airing it back to back. Yeah.
Wait till the Modern Family crowd sees that shit.
And the thing about Brian May too, but I want to put a little asterisk here, is that yes, she very well could be a Dave Meltzer thing where he wants it to make it look like she's going to go to WWE and then AEW signs her and she was always going to go there. Like that is possible because Dave Meltzer has done that about 100 times in the past. So
doesn't matter though.
But so speaking of our good friend and peer in the journalism space, Mr. Dave Meltzer. It's time for a little segment called "That's Dave for You." So, where do we want to start? First of all, you know what? I'd like to respond to something here. Given that you guys are good faithers, will you be giving Dave Meltzer credit for being correct about Rock not being at Mania? Dave also said Rock wanted to turn Cody, which The Rock confirmed. Yeah, Dave was right once.
Got the coin flip.
Yeah.
I believe when we covered that, 50% of us also agreed with him and said, yeah, probably Rock might got me there. So I don't know.
I am big enough to admit when Dave Meltzer is right. However, Dave Meltzer is still not big enough to admit when Dave Meltzer is wrong. True. So, all right. So let's see what Meltzer had to say here. Talking about Grande Americano, Dave said, Grande Americano pinned Phoenix after losing his mask, and Phoenix came off the ropes into a headbutt and then used a diving headbutt. Vikingo was in the ring with Phoenix after the match. He did a spot with him. This was nothing like you'd imagine it to be.
What?
Greetings, my friend. I
what
hope
the
that this
hell
morning
does
is
that even
finding you
mean?
well and safe.
What is that?
Lawrence, I'm coming
What
to
is
you
that?
because
Where's it coming from?
Did we get invaded? Did we get what was that?
I have no
Where'd it
idea
come
what
from?
that was.
Yeah, I don't even know what he's saying that we were supposed to like. What were we expecting? What were you expecting, Marv? What were you expecting from that match? Because I was expecting El Grande Americano to go over. Because
Yeah, me too.
He wasn't even fighting the person he was scheduled to fight. So
well, I think that he hates this. I think he is going to be the biggest poo-pooer of the El Grande Americano stuff because I think he is just livid about the AAA thing.
Like the steel plate.
You really think he's upset about that, huh?
I do. I agree with Mark.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
The steel plate and the mask, everything that was a AAA style match. Everything about that was Lucha Libre. That they brought a Lucha Libre match. El Grande Americano, you may not notice it, but he is acting like a heel in Lucha Libre. Like he really does. He wrestles that way.
No.
So, and the one you want to get over right now is him. I'm sorry. I like Phoenix. I think he's really good. But first off, he's not Penta. And second off, he's not the one that you spent 3 months investing time and effort into. You know, he needs to win. So give it to him.
El Grande Americano, was he on Raw last night?
Kind of.
Okay.
He was not on Raw physically, but his presence was felt on Raw last night.
May I theorize that he might have gotten a major concussion based on that cannonball spin drop that he did on Phoenix at WrestleMania, landing flat on the back of his head, or his head smacked the back of the mat.
It's possible.
It looked vicious.
I don't want to diagnose people like everyone was trying to diagnose Hook last week. I don't want to do that, but it's possible.
All right. So Meltzer also said after the AAA thing went down, we'll talk about AAA sale to WWE. This is not out of nowhere. Been worked on for a long time. And I just love this guy down here. You don't know, bro. Don't start making shit. Stop it. Oh, well, off the record is off the record. No, it's yes, I agree because I'm an actual journalist and you're not. But even if someone told you this was off the record, you would have been dropping breadcrumbs about this.
Yep.
And none of you knew. None of you knew. Guys.
It's been in the works since 1997.
Look for a major announcement from Paul.
Oh, my friend Paul. Like he cannot accept the fact that he did, especially because it's Lucha, especially because it's AAA, and he didn't know. And this is exactly, Kev, you hit the nail on the head. You were like, this has got Conan and Ray's fingerprints all over it. And look, I was told by our buddy Phil Marks something that he had heard, which was that the new wrestlers that are coming in are being told, look, you are not to stooge. You are not to stooge. If we catch you, you're done. So Triple H is effectively cutting the dirt sheets off entirely. And now with this new like writer's room reality show, you're actually going to like Meltzer's going to report something and you're going to actually see how it shakes up. I mean, if the writer's room, you know, show is real and it's not just fabricated nonsense, which probably will be.
That'll be a little bit both.
Yeah.
Well,
they film everything. So.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Mole said that like even his people that he like his friends that work in WWE were giving him different stories about what was going to happen within WWE. They're telling different people different things. Yeah. They don't want anything to get out, and they, you know, nope. that's the way it works. That's the way it works now.
Nope.
You know,
Triple H has had it with the dirt sheets. He's done, and you know, Dave Meltzer is going to be the biggest. Look, they're all going to feel the hurt from this. He's going to feel it the worst. But
yeah. Oh, and by the way, if anyone still doubts Mole, he posted a PBR logo 2 weeks ago and said something about Raw after WrestleMania. PBR, Paul, Braun, Rollins. So that's pretty dead on. You can't.
Well, how about the fact that a couple months ago, Mole posted a When Worlds Collide.
Yeah,
or it was at least a couple weeks ago. Posted PBS, a When Worlds Collide thing, and now it's that's what they're doing is When Worlds Collide.
Yeah, PBS. Sorry, it was PBS. I actually didn't see it. I had Mole sent me a message saying about it. But
AEW Neckbeard's the wise man and producer of this show. No cheese wheels for you.
All we're gonna do is make Chris Chris Van Leet, the most important sports wrestling journalist in existence,
because he's the one they'll talk to. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, the Mole
Ariel Hawani as well.
Oh yeah.
All right. So here's a little Meltzer throwback. Just pulled this one. I have no idea what it is.
Wait till the end.
And I guess I did hint at it when he lost power in NXT and they kind of took it away, took the direction and made it their direction, not his. But it's like, okay,
he's talking about Tripp here.
Yes, he's talking about
15, 20 years.
Vince.
We've all been
okay. He's talking about WWE booking back then. So
when Vince gives it up, whenever that will be, that Paul will be.
Stop calling him that.
Not his. But it's like, okay, for 15, 20 years, we've all been told when Vince gives it up, whenever that will be, that Paul will be the guy. And, and that was fine. He's a smart guy. There may be stuff that he'll learn, didn't work on the bigger stage, that did work on the smaller stage. But, there's always stuff to learn. As a general fundamental, general fundamental wrestling booking, understanding wrestling, he's pretty good. So he's
pretty good.
He's pretty good.
This is the guy that praises Tony Khan week in and week out about his glorious storytelling.
Okay, that's cool. Good. But now it's like, who do we got? You know what I mean? It's like,
what do you mean?
So I know what this is. This is after Tripp was after Vince and Bruce Pritchard, unleashed the heart virus on Triple H, and he was basically cast out, and they didn't think he was going to be taking over anymore. Stephanie was gone.
The pill and the drink.
Yeah.
Cool. Good. But now it's like, who do we got? You know what I mean? It's like, I know smart guys, but they're not like, they haven't been put in that situation. And like with WWE, the last time they tried this was Paul and Vince, and because they had done it in the past. Not Paul and Vince, Paul and Eric Bischoff.
Mm-hmm.
And
Heyman, he's talking about there.
Yeah.
Neither of them lasted for very different reasons. But they're the only, those two and Jerry Jarrett, who's closing in on 80.
Dead.
Years old. He's older. I think he's older than Vince. And Bill Watts, who's obviously not going to be doing that, who's 83 years old now and is not going to, you know what I mean? It's like, who, like the best guys.
He's winding up.
Yep.
Here.
Yep.
He's very clearly, and we can all see where he's going on who should take over for Vince. And it's so clear what he's trying to say.
But they're the only, those two and Jerry Jarrett, who's closing in on 80 years old. He's older. I think he's older than Vince. And Bill Watts, who's obviously not going to be doing that. Who's
Come on, man.
When the last time Bill Watts was anywhere near? What?
When Ron Simmons won the world title.
83 years old now and is not going to, you know what I mean? It's like, who, like the best guy is Tony Khan. Who else, right?
Oh, what?
Is not going to, you know what I mean? It's like, who, like the best guy is Tony Khan. Who else, right?
What?
Who, like the best guy is Tony Khan. Who else, right?
Shout out Phil Marks.
Yeah, Phil does play that clip. I had never heard the full speech around it before.
The best guy is Tony Khan. Marv, you should
Tony
take
Khan.
over. Could you imagine?
That Vince's chosen successor? I leave the keys to the kingdom to you.
Instead
Tony
of Triple
Khan.
H, Triple H doesn't get the guy who's running the company in the most successful period ever doesn't get the job, but Tony Khan gets it.
He hands it to little Junior, who's sitting there eating a fudgesicle with a bib on.
Like the best guy is Tony Khan. Who else, right?
And the way
Tony Khan, yeah,
he says it. He says it like a 500-pound infant. This guy's Tony Khan.
It's like who you gonna get? It's a
Shawn Michaels, Paul Heyman, Bruce Pritchard, literally anyone else
to be that guy. And I don't know.
I think he's laughing because he realizes how idiotic he sounds.
No, I think he's happy. I think he's thrilled because he legitimately thinks in his little pea-sized brain that this is actually going to happen.
Exactly. He doesn't think that it should happen. He thinks it's going to happen. That's what that sounds like. He was sure of it.
This was also when it was all like Vince is going to sell the company. And, he was so sure for a long time that the Khans were going to buy it.
Yep. In retrospect, look at where we are now.
It's just an interesting thing when Vince is closing in on 77.
Yeah. And so...
You're not too far behind, Dave.
I love when he says something so stupid and Brian's just like, yeah, so... All right, so our next Meltzer
Granny.
We're gonna try to get through as much of this next one as we can. You know what? I'll save it because we got one more Meltzer. It's not a clip of Meltzer; it's a clip about Meltzer.
Save it, because it's 10:19.
I know a lot of people came to Vegas to see some wrestling.
Okay, can I first just say this is Mickey James? When the hell did she become a Southern belle? I know a lot of people. I do declare that many people out here came to see some wrestling.
I don't know. She can still get it. I don't know.
Hardcore country. Come on.
Beard said when we watched this before, he's like, it's like when
Horny
Madonna.
diss.
It's like when Madonna suddenly developed the British accent. Like, what are you doing?
Mickey looks good, man. I'm sorry. She looks
does.
good.
I know a lot of people came to Vegas to see some wrestling. And we got a lot of guys and gals in the back, Maki, who are out here trying to get...
Oh, that's Maki Ito.
Right.
Who dropped to Mercedes Moné.
their 5-star notice. What's that? But I'll tell you what, Meltzer ain't never put me over, honey, and he ain't gonna do it tonight either, because I tell you what I do. I entertain.
Oh my goodness.
Meltzer didn't like that.
I'm sure he did not. I'm sure that match did not get very many stars. All right, so we're gonna try to get through the next one. This is him talking about the Mariah May situation. We're gonna try to get through as much as we can, but it's long. So as much as we can take.
Checking out this video. Don't forget, like and subscribe.
Sit her down. Look at him. Look at him. It looks like somebody drew his face on with crayon.
Mariah May.
Very similar. She put a post up, basically saying that I forgot the exact words, but it was saying there are no mistakes on your journey because you want to get to where you want to be or something. It's all part of the trip of getting to where you want to be. She had a photo of Orlando, Florida, and I know from people in WWE that that she.
I've heard a rumor that they've got a building there, but I can't confirm that yet.
Has been there. They know she wants to go there. I think people saw that cryptic thing. I don't know when her contract is up. Everyone seems to think it's this summer that it's up.
Text Tony and ask him. You can. The only time you're ever unsure about things in AEW is when it's convenient to you.
And
you think Tony's going to know the answer?
I was given the
That's true. Tony's like, who's Mariah May?
impression it was a 2-year deal that she signed originally, so I guess you can do the math.
By the way, is Brian Alvarez incapable of saying a single sentence without sounding smug? I was told it was a 2-year deal.
He is, but not when he's talking to Dave Meltzer. If you listen to him when he's talking to anyone else, he doesn't sound smug.
That's true. It sounds like you're talking to your demented grandfather.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
That's not smugness. That's a man being tortured.
Okay, Grandpa, put on your glasses.
But I have heard the same thing, that at least in AEW, there's a belief that she's heading to WWE.
Well, I think that explains something, because, when they did that blow-off match with Mariah May, and I was going like, God, why are you doing the blow-off match? This is like one of the hottest feuds you've ever had, and now you're just going to blow it off. And they did that awesome blow-off match. And then she hasn't been on TV since, and she wasn't put in the tournament. And with Tony, when he thinks someone's going, he takes them off TV, and she's been off TV. I thought, I was even talking to some people, and it's just like, why isn't she with Megan Bayne? Why is Penelope Ford with Megan Bayne? Mariah is so much bigger of a star. The two of them together.
I hate when you have to look at his face, because it really just looks like a really poor sculpture where they made very little eye holes. Like,
why doesn't he put his teeth in before the podcast?
For real.
Heel team to go after Tony Storm and various partners, so you can kind of break up. You don't always have to do singles matches, and they could be a long-term team. And I think that's the answer is that he felt she was leaving, and it's time to go to Megan Bayne right away.
Which is so short-sighted. It's so dumb.
So stupid.
Okay, at the end of the day, also, if she debuts in WWE and people like her, they're going to be like, hey, where was she before this? Oh, she was just in AEW last month. Oh, let me go watch that. Let me go see what she was up to there. I want to see more of this lady to learn more about her. Then, boom, you've got new viewers. But it's just, if you leave the best friends circle, if you leave him, you're just persona non grata, and he hides under his desk.
Well, and then also, why is it Megan Bayne and not Camille? They'd been building Camille for months in the same exact role that Megan Bayne's in, and now Megan Bayne's doing it. And
no, because Megan Bayne was honest. I'm sorry. Camille was honest. Yeah. Camille spoke out and was honest, and you're not allowed to do that. You're only allowed to be to be his friend as long as you do whatever he says and speak only positively about him.
That's it for Mariah May. I mean, it's an interesting one, because I think in the same situation, again, I don't know what the offers are out there, but I would think because
one of them is an offer to go to the WWE. That's all you have to know.
Mariah.
Also, get a damn stand for that microphone. What do you think? You're cutting a promo?
Yes, that's why he holds it like that.
Yeah.
Oh, you loser. You absolute loser.
Really is, to a degree. I mean, I think Tony looks at her not as a AEW creation, because she made her name in Stardom. But
yeah, no one knows that. And as far as America is concerned, she's an AEW creation.
Yeah.
Like he literally thinks everyone knows this.
But, she was just someone on the roster in Stardom, nice look and everything, and got better. But she became, she's long run as AEW Women's Champion, and in
what brand of hair do you think he just uses just for men? Or does he actually go to a hair salon to get that coloring put in?
No way he goes to the salon. 0% chance.
He looks like he's made of PS3 graphics.
And he might go to, like he's got it's so sparse up there. At this point, just go Lex Luthor. Just shave your head. I don't know.
One of Tony Khan's most hands-on programs that he's ever done. Out of the box, not traditional wrestling, and it clicked. It's one of his real big success stories.
No, no.
What? Did the ratings go up?
Everything we've heard is that it's Will Washington's creation. Everyone said that Will Washington is 100% behind this and that we need to praise Will Washington. And suddenly Tony's here saying that it's all Tony.
It's all Tony. It's always Tony. Tony.
She was done it again. Tony Storm is the biggest part, but Tony Storm would not be as big as she is without Mariah May. Mariah May really, where Tony.
Is this his impassioned "Please Don't Leave" speech to Mariah May?
That honestly, this is why I said earlier that I think it might be a situation where he's trying to make it seem like she's wanting to sign when in actuality she is already locked in with AEW. The same thing that happened with like Ospreay and Okada and Mercedes, where he was the one that kept pushing, oh, there's a lot of interest from WWE, when in actuality they were going to go to AEW in the first place. And now if she signs with AEW, then AEW is so big and cool that they got Mariah May instead of WWE. It just feels like that to me, and I don't know if it's true, but that's what it feels. When a guy like Rusev gets released or somebody's contract's up like that, when Andrade's contract was up, he wasn't saying that there was interest from AEW because he knew he was going to WWE, or he wasn't saying there was interest from WWE because he knew it already, right? But
so you think she's staying?
I don't know that I'm not saying that she is, but I'm saying that he's an unreliable narrator.
Okay, I got that.
Tony Storm was, if you go back before the program got big and where she is today, she is so much bigger, and it's because of that program. And Mariah May is as well. So it's an interesting one because like I said, my gut is that that AEW would offer her a lot more than WWE. I don't know that, but I would think so. And I think that was of no concern because, again, I remember long before Mariah May ever went to, she was in Japan, but before she signed with AEW, I remember, people who were good friends with her, and they just said her dream is WWE. And
I am so you know where I'm about to go. I'm so sick of the "this is my dream." No, go to work. Work. That's your dream. Your dream's to work and make money. Stop it.
That's part of the reason that I think that there's a possibility that she's just going to resign with AEW, because if it was a dream, it's a terrible bargaining chip, right?
Remember King of the Ring 96? You sat there and you thumped your Bible and it didn't do nothing. Talk about your Psalms. Talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says, "I'm just happy to be here because this is my dream." Stop it.
That's still the thing. And again, and performing on that stage and everything, it's a more intoxicating stage, as far as all those people, and you have WrestleMania and all that. And
this is done. There's nothing.
No shit. She wants to go to WWE. Bigger stage, bigger money, more actual fans. Not even more fans. Actual people at the fucking stands. No shit.
He is. I think he's shocked that the WWE, that Tony's money is no longer making things happen.
100%.
I think that's it, and that's Dave for you. All right, moving along.
Why don't we save the power ranger for next week? Kev looks like he's dying, so we can. I'm sure Neckbeard won't mind us. It wasn't.
Yeah, we can hold on to it for next week.
Yeah.
Let's get to some more super chats though, because we do have a bunch that have not been read yet. So, Regina Sharp for $10 says, "Half Rock, you see, passion is 9/10 of the law, and the Rock is the law, and the law is a legally binding contract that legally binds your soul." And 2, okay, look, I got a collection problem. I don't want to do anything with your soul. I like to put souls in a chamber and swim through them. The Rock likes to rub the souls up on his body like Tony Atlas.
You misspelled it.
Yeah, Last Call Podcast for $5 says, "I got booted from a space for defending Paul Heyman's ESPN segment. I was deemed mean and supporting racist. These nuts truly believe Heyman is a racist." Why? What did Heyman say on
racist?
ESPN?
Heyman said, okay, there was a guy who was heckling him, and he said, "I'm not the one that's going to be deported." And then he said, "Adios, amigos." I just want to remind people, Paul Heyman was the guy who, when asked about his people comparing him to Bobby Heenan, replied, "Bobby Heenan is dead, and he doesn't matter anymore." He is a heat machine when he's not on WWE television. So saying someone's going to be deported, come on, guys, seriously.
Yeah, stop it. It's a heel thing. 1KQ for $5 New Zealand. Let's just hope that the Scorsese movie does so well and Dwayne stays away. Yeah,
that's true.
I have never been happy. I've never rooted more for The Rock's career to do well.
Yeah, we should start promoting it. We should start getting everyone to go watch their movies over and over again.
When The Rock is successful in Hollywood, The Rock does not come back to WWE. We have seen this. It's only when The Rock is starting to fade a bit, his star is starting to fade, that he comes back. So, Brian Stryker for $20 says, "Joe Hendry had 60,000+ people singing his song and cheering him. The man was more over than 99% of all wrestling, and Glove Gold, Glove Gold, Glove Gold, Glove Gold." All right, Dis, you want to talk about Joe Hendry here?
I won't say much. I'll just say that Max, that was the most excited I've ever seen him about wrestling, was when Joe Hendry came out. It was his first legitimate markout moment. He threw something across the room. He ran out. You know that feeling you get when something happens that's so cool that you can't even control yourself anymore, and you're just
lit the house on fire.
Yeah, like he was going insane, and it wasn't for show. I wasn't recording him. I didn't make a meme out of it. This was something that was legitimate and real, and it was amazing.
It was his first markout moment.
Yeah,
he robbed the bank.
And Joe Hendry had that effect on him. That man's a star. There's a lot coming up for him. That's all I gotta say.
Blazing Bolts for $5 says, "Appreciate Roman and Rock while they are still in pro wrestling, but then again, a lot of woke IWC fans are fickle." That is correct. They are indeed. Butter Biscuit 92 for $5. "Can you guys explain the New Day? Like, why are they even there? They felt like another group that they really wanted to push." Well, the New Day's been around for forever.
Yeah, they have the most tag team championships in wrestling history or something. So
yeah, so they were, they were a babyface group, and they were just kind of like they were a comedy act, and they were a good comedy act. But then they're trying to revitalize them by making them heel now. I like what they're doing with them. I would like it a lot more if I thought that there was going to be a blow off with Big E at some point, but I think that ship has sailed.
It really felt like that was going to happen Saturday, didn't it?
Yeah,
like it felt like that was the time. Yeah,
it did. Like he was going to make the save or something like that. It's not going to happen. So there you go, Butter Biscuit. No, they're.
Well, I also think WWE is hoping Big E's coming back. I'm pretty sure
those pins. Right. Those pins have still not been knocked down yet. Because they set them up properly that one segment on Raw. But
yeah, and he's still waiting to see if that
it went nowhere.
He's still waiting to see if the stem cell takes. So he might be, he might get back. So
right. Redisaurus for $5 says, "If Bayley was going to be off Mania, then couldn't they at least have a face off against Roxanne Perez at Stand and Deliver? She deserved much better." Now, I assume Bayley was legitimately hurt.
No, she wasn't.
Really? They just threw her off?
Well, I'm assuming that it's going to be Bailey and that they're building the IC title, and that it's going to be Bailey versus Becky for the IC title down the line. That's what makes sense out of here, and that's a huge feud. So, like, what's the big, No, they couldn't have her face off against Roxanne Perez because she was supposed to be injured. That was the whole point of the storyline,
right?
So,
Point finger, phone call, money face. It's Bailey. Just openly tampering now. It's okay if you're an AEW roster member, I guess.
She'll be fine. Bailey will be fine.
Hey, Bailey's not dumb. Bailey, I think Bailey has evolved beyond the point where she's going to let that woman derail her career anymore.
Well, she did say that after her contract's up, she might go, but that's fine. She's been around she'll be, at that point, it'll be 15 years that Bailey's in the company, let her go do something else. It's fine. She's made her money and she has made the women's division better than it was when she got there. There's nothing else you can ask for from her.
Regina Sharp for $5 says they made Doofus a villain. Boo, hiss. They did make Doofus a villain, and Doofus was not a villain in the original DuckTales. So, Mr. Jamie Jam 88 for $4.99. Braun's segment with Rollins, Punk, and Reigns is knocking on 2.2 million on YouTube. I'm excited to finally see him in the main event scene as a Paul Heyman guy. Yeah, absolutely.
Could you imagine what was going through Paul Heyman's head the first time he saw Braun Breaker?
I'm gonna make you a star. BPE with the BPE special for $20 and no message. Thank you, BPE. We love you, buddy. CWJ 128 for $5. Was working on a story that Lincoln was going to have a bad night at the Ford Theater. $14.99, please. Mr. Jamie Jam for 88 for $4.99. Mr. Jamie Jam 88 for $4.99 says Jacob Fatu has only been in WWE for 10 months and has already won a major title in his first ever WrestleMania. Him and Braun are going to main event WrestleMania very, very soon. I think,
2 or 3 years. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's WrestleMania 43 or 44 main event, I think. Jacob Fatu debuted in the WWE and was a bigger star than Okada within a week.
Rock had a really weird thing, and I didn't pull it, but Rock had a really weird thing where it's like he said that Jacob Fatu said that they saved his life, but he almost made it sound like he was saying that The Rock saved his life. It was very strange.
Of course, it was the final boss saved his life.
It was very.
Well, now listen, the Rock's never actually spoken to Jacob Fatu, but The Rock saved his life.
Like, I had to listen to it 3 times to realize that he wasn't saying that he said that Jacob Fatu said that The Rock saved his life. So I think he meant to make it sound like that.
Travis Heckle, our friend from the Jim Cornette Experience, the thumbnail artist extraordinaire, says for $5 says, wait, that clip of Meltzer is real? Yep. I thought it was Phil screwing with the sound and making him sound like a schoolgirl church mouse. What a goof. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. I the best guy's Tony Khan.
Pro Wrestling Times. Go subscribe, guys. Great show over there.
Yep. Yeah, Phil does a great job over there. JJ Gosling for £2 sterling says someone is wearing Meltzer's skin like a suit. It looked kind of like it. And finally, oh gosh, what is this? All be booty bitches and with big boobies for $2 says, when are you making plush toys? As soon as I can figure out how to do it.
I'll tell you what. You send us $100, I can get my mom to crochet you something if you want. She's always looking for something to crochet. She'll make you one.
And then just pocket all the money.
Every time Max makes a new video game character, she crochets it for him because she just doesn't have anything else to do.
Amazing.
So.
That's amazing. Well, thank you guys very much for all your generous super chats tonight. This is a fantastic night. All right, guys. That about does it for our show tonight. There's no Monet Mag this week. That is not on us. That is on her. She hasn't put it out for the last 2 weeks. So
3.
3. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we'll see when the next one comes out. All right. Awful Wrestling. You had a new video that came out today that made me on YouTube that made me laugh out loud with the racist AEW ad.
Yeah, you can check that out on the YouTube channel.
Fantastic. Yeah, go check out Awful Wrestling on YouTube.
Yeah.
And
thank you very much. And also X at AEW FUL Wrestling. And here every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Tooney Talk Wrestling.
Dis, where can folks find out more about you and what you're up to?
At AEW Disciplinary, you can check me out there. Also, you can go to toonydis.lol. That is our Discord channel. You can join there, and we hang out for Raw and SmackDown every week. Also, hey, I do have a YouTube channel at Maxed Out Media. Max Summer starts next month, and that is we are back in season, buddy. He's already coming up with video ideas for that. So, if you want to subscribe that, then go ahead and do that.
Awesome. And we wait for Kevin to get back. I will just like to say a big thank you to our friend AEW Neckbeards, the wise man of this podcast, for helping you guys out in the chat there, for helping us behind the scenes, for being an integral part of this show, a guy who we all love and could not do this show without. So thank you, AEW Neckbeards. Follow him on X at AEW Neckbeard, singular. So the name is Neckbeards, but the Twitter handle is Neckbeard. So you can go ahead and do that. All right, Kevin Apollo, what do you got coming up?
What do we got? Pro tomorrow, and I'll see you on Thursday.
Yep.
He's gonna
His
die.
lunch is about to come up, apparently.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if he makes it to Thursday, he'll be on the show.
Guys, tomorrow night for me over at Tooneytown TV, make sure you're checking out the game stream. We are continuing on with Mass Effect, where we are just kind of playing it by ear and doing whatever we want. We're not doing a Renegade or Paragon playthrough. We're just kind of taking it by ear because the universe is yin and yang. So we will do that tomorrow night around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then on Thursday night, make sure you're checking out Tooney Talk TV. Myself, Kevin Apollo, Trish, Martin Stone, Nolan Thunder, Lauren Connor. We are going to have all of the pop culture news of the week for you guys on that night. So thank you guys very much. And big, huge thanks to everyone who chatted, everyone who super chatted, everyone who just showed up and watched in the background. From all of us here at the Tooneytown channels, I'm Marvin the Movie Monster. Now get out of here! Now, Perry the Platypus, feel the wrath of my thank you-inator!
Thank you, you piece of trash.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you! Oh, I suppose you want me to say thank you. Well, you know what? Saying thank you is like jobbing. Thank you! I got a little message. Thank you. Ooh, yeah!
Oh, thank you! Oh, thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you!
Thanks? For what?
Hi-ho from all of us here at Tooneytown. Thank you!
And viewers like you. Thank you.